The Pirate Journey of Arceus. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76. Is Antarctica colder or Arctic colder? It's the North Pole that's colder. No, the South Pole is colder. No, it's obviously the North Pole that's colder. Shanks and Buggy, 8 years old this year, are trainees of Roger's pirates. They have been on Roger's ship since they were very young. The argument was fruitless, from arguing to quarreling, and finally to fighting, but the people in Roger's pirates seemed to have gotten used to this matter, and didn't think it was strange at all. Okay, you two, you were arguing about this issue when you were on the ship. If you want to know the result, why don't you go and see both sides? However, this occasion is obviously not the time to fight. Rayleigh behind him punched each of them and solved the problem very fairly. Now is not the time for you to quarrel. Hurry up and replenish supplies. We are about to set sail. After the Battle of God Valley, the bounty of Roger's pirates did not change. In the report of the world government, it was entirely the credit of the Navy. They personally created the Navy hero Garp and made him an iconic figure of the Navy to enhance the prestige of the Navy. Although Garp's strength is worthy of the position of a hero, the world government also played a significant role. As a witness of the incident, Garp would chase after Roger's pirate group whenever he found any traces in recent years, and almost regarded Roger as his destined enemy. However, Garp did not like the world government's cover-up of the truth, and he himself did not like the celestial dragons, so he always refused to be promoted to admiral. After becoming an admiral of the Navy, the degree of freedom will decrease. They must be stationed in certain places to deal with some special events. Relatively speaking, the vice admiral has more freedom to act. In order to better hunt down Roger, Garp refused to take over the position of admiral. The person who was most affected by this incident was actually Sengoku. The mechanism of the three admirals of the Navy has been formed for a long time, but now the positions of the three admirals have been vacant. Zephyr turned to the backstage as the chief instructor, and Garp refused to be promoted, which made Sengoku very busy most of the time. Every time he saw Kong, the current admiral of the Navy, at the Navy headquarters, he would complain about this matter constantly. There was no other person in their generation of the Navy who could take on the position of admiral, so the Navy temporarily maintained this state. After Rox was eliminated in the Battle of God Valley, the sea was generally much better. Sengoku can still handle it if he works overtime. When the new generation grows up, the vacancy of the admiral will naturally be filled. It is better to let people with insufficient strength to force the numbers to make up the numbers than to leave this position vacant. The Roger pirates had just escaped from Garp's pursuit. In order to prevent being caught again, they had to hurry up to replenish supplies and leave here. The trainees also had jobs, and Shanks and Buggy also had things to buy. After being taught a lesson by Rayleigh, the people of the Roger pirates also took action separately. At this time, Alga was bargaining with someone. The quarrel over there did not arouse her interest. She was not interested in those pirate slaves, and she did not need coolies or anything. Since she has embarked on the road of pirates, she must be prepared to encounter everything, so her target is those ordinary people. Similarly, these people are also the cheapest type in the slave market. Human trade is a legal business here, but it will not be put on the surface in the member countries. There will be hidden names such as job introduction agencies. Here, it is basically clearly marked. Criminals and citizens of non-member states are all trading targets. As for citizens of member states, sorry, only citizens of non-member states are caught here, and this is just a fig leaf for humans. Nearly 200 years ago, the Ryugu Kingdom of Fishman Island became a member of the world government, but mermaids have always been the most expensive species in terms of sales price. Once a mermaid appears, it will definitely be auctioned at a high price. Alga and Elizabeth have a total of 10 million berries, which is a huge amount of pocket money. Human transactions also have price regulations. According to the prices of goods decades later, ordinary humans will start at 500,000 berries at auctions, but that is an auction, and the starting price is usually much lower than the value of the item. The average selling price of the people Olga likes is about 1 million berries. She just wants to take a few people away, and quality is not as important as quantity. Look at these guys, how skinny they are. And this one, I think he's almost dead. How can you ask for this price? Ever since the kidnapping incident in the kingdom of Nadjo, the patterns on her clothes have all been changed. Now she wears a t-shirt with the pirate flag of the beasts. It is this pattern that gives the slave trader on the other side the opportunity to explain patiently. They don't want to offend the pirates who have territories in the new world, and Kaido has also joined this group. Miss, this price is already very cheap, and look at these people. Although they are a little thin, they are healthy, and will be fine in a few days. 10 million bales for 8 people. This is already very cheap. They can work without any problems. 15. One price. These are not top quality goods at all. They are worth this price. It's difficult for me to do this. In this way, I can give you 13, but they can only be children, and I will give you a gift. In the slave market, the price of women is generally higher than that of men, and the price of young and middle-aged people is higher than that of the elderly or children. Olga is not interested in those powerful pirate slaves, so the factors that determine the price are these age and appearance factors. As Olga said, there is no so-called high-quality goods here, and those people are sent to the auction. These are the ones left after the first round of screening. He just happened to have 13 little ghosts left in his hands. They are not outstanding in appearance, and their age is just 12 or 13 years old. They can neither be used as adult labor, nor be trained as confidants. He also wanted to get rid of this group of burdens. If they died in his hands, he would lose money. If he kept them alive, he would lose money. Seeing that Olga was ready to take over, he also planned to make a move. Point deal. What's the gift? Here, it's said to be a treasure map, but I don't know what's hidden in it. The merchant handed Olga a sea chart and a chain. High-end goods like slave collars were not used in this place. These people were only bound by ordinary chains. Hey, stop wandering around, you two. Keep an eye on them. I bought them with my own money. They couldn't be let go here, otherwise they would be sent directly back to the human traffickers. So Olga gave orders to several people from Beishao. She was indeed an intern, but not an ordinary intern, but a cadre reserve. Chapter 77 Debut at the peak. Got it, leave it to us. The pirates of the beasts knew very well that when Olga was older and stronger, she would definitely become a senior cadre directly. Both her own fruitability and interpersonal relationships determined this. Moreover, the apprentices in the pirate group usually had the status of group pet, and were very popular with the captain. Besides, they really couldn't beat Olga. Her frontal combat ability was not very strong. Although she could defeat 1 or 2 adult pirates in a head-on fight, her physical limitations were there, which was far worse than those who could be called monsters like Jin and Shaina. The problem was that in the battle, the enemy would never know whether the one attacking was the real Olga. Without excellent observation haki, the number of people would be meaningless to Olga, and she would only fall into internal fighting and the illusion. After taking over the chains, they didn't pay much attention to the slaves. They were bound by chains, and couldn't make any waves. Moreover, the slave traders would torture them in advance, and those who could persist in resisting were also a minority among the slaves. Shanks, did you hear that? It's the treasure map. It's the treasure map. Holding a bag of potatoes, Buggy said to Shanks beside him excitedly. If Buggy were asked to choose an idol among pirates, then excluding the people on Roger's ship, John would most likely be the one to be chosen. This pirate who has always been concerned about money has won Buggy's approval. It is also one of his dreams to get all the treasures in the world. His observation ability is relatively sharp, especially things related to treasure. Roger's pirates are also pirates. They will also rob, but their targets are not civilians. Roger's rule is that civilians are not allowed to be attacked. Those who provoke them are another matter. As for the Navy and pirates, they will not be soft-hearted when they take action. I heard it. What's wrong? She just took out 10 million baileys. 10 million. 10 million baileys filled Elizabeth's side bag. When he took out the money, he certainly saw the thick bundle of banknotes. The pirates ran to the side with the people she bought according to Olga's order. Now there is only Elizabeth, the lizard, left beside Olga, obviously alone. Captain Roger forbids us to attack ordinary people. Are you blind? Can't you see the skull pattern on her clothes? She's obviously a pirate. Besides, there are no ordinary people who come to this place. The treasure map is very tempting to Buggy. Under his encouragement, Shanks was still convinced by him. Let me make it clear first. Our target is only the treasure map. Don't worry, she is just a little girl. As long as she is scared, she will definitely hand over the things obediently. Leave this matter to me, Uncle Buggy. Remember to act quickly, otherwise you will be punished when Mr. Rayleigh comes back. If you ignore the fact that Buggy is 2 years younger than Olga at this time, this statement still has a bit of deterrence. If you count the stagnant age, it is not just 2 years. Olga, who turned her back to Buggy and Shanks, was a little speechless. Elizabeth, do you think those two guys are idiots? You're talking so loudly, do you think I'm deaf? At first, Buggy was discussing with Shanks in a low voice, but it gradually turned into an argument. Although they didn't fight, they didn't control the volume. The ability of the animal system is hidden in the body. Even if there is no beast, the 5 senses are strengthened to a certain extent. So Olga heard their plan clearly. Let's go, play with the 2 little ghosts before leaving. Life on the ship is so boring. She turned around and walked towards a fork in the road. When Buggy and Shanks caught up, they found that the people in front of them disappeared. Where are the people? I don't know, but why is there no one here? Are you looking for me? A pair of hands were placed on their shoulders. Buggy was frightened and shouted directly. Shanks was calmer and punched behind him, but he only hit nothing. He was just a fledgling apprentice pirate, not the pirate emperor who dominated the sea decades later. At this stage, he had not even mastered the ordinary 2-color domineering. The lower the level of the battle, the more powerful the fruit ability can be. Shanks and Buggy were completely fooled by Olga's illusion. This was also Olga's most brilliant achievement. Playing with 2 emperors in the palm of her hand, it can be said that she reached the peak at her debut. You two want to grab the treasure map? Too weak. Olga didn't do anything at all. Shanks and Buggy didn't have the ability to break the illusion, so they both mistook each other for Olga and started an evenly matched internal fight. Olga, brother Chin, there's a call. Elizabeth handed over the Den Mushi. He had learned most of the human language, but it was not continuous enough. At most, he could only speak 3 words at a time. Olga, gather on the ship. We should withdraw. The navy is coming. After briefly explaining the situation, Jin hung up the phone directly. Hearing this, Olga didn't care about Shanks and Buggy anymore and rode Elizabeth directly and left here. When they ran away, the influence of Olga's ability was naturally cancelled, and Buggy and Shanks just used their strongest attacks. When they saw each other's figure, they couldn't stop. When Rayleigh came to take them away, he just saw that each of them had a black eye. Why are you two fighting again? Go, Garp is catching up again. There are always people left on the ship, and they are the ones who passed the news. The navy would not approach this island, but the Roger pirates who were replenishing supplies here successfully lured Garp here. After a chase, the Roger pirates got rid of Garp again, and the black market merchants and other unprepared pirates on the island were unlucky and were all captured by Garp. After they were safe, Rayleigh brought Shanks and Buggy in front of him. Tell me, why are you two fighting, and fighting so fiercely? It's not that they haven't fought before, but this time it seems that they are really angry. Shanks and Rayleigh explained what happened, and then a burst of laughter broke out on Roger's ship. These 2 brats were fooled by a little girl. Yeah, hey, you two are not jealous of each other. If his crew members were insulted, Roger would definitely retaliate, but it also depends on the situation. Shanks and Buggy took the initiative to attack, but in the end they were fooled by the other party, and the one who did it was a little girl. Then this is not a big deal, but a joke. If you can confuse them with illusions, you can also kill them. It is obvious that the other party has shown mercy. Since then, Shanks and Buggy have a black history of being teased, and Roger has set a new rule for them. They must follow Rayleigh or Jabba when they go out, and they are not allowed to act alone. Chapter 78 Reality. On the ship of the beasts, Jin was looking at the slaves that Olga had bought. Jin's gaze made them feel cold in their hearts, and they huddled together on the deck. You are responsible for these people. It is up to you to deal with them. I won't help you. Ah, I know. Just find an island with people and put them down. She was already doing charity by spending money to buy people and give them freedom. She didn't intend to waste time sending them back home, and she didn't have the ability to do so. Olga, you seem to be too naive. Huh? Nothing. You will understand later. Jin only said half of his words. The truth is far less real than reality. Only after experiencing reality can you know how big the gap is between reality and ideal. They need to Dr. Resipli on the way back to Kaido's territory. She had already untied the chains on the slaves, but when the people of the beasts put down the pedal, none of them dared to leave. Go, you are free. They dare not. Look at the wounds on these people. They are all old wounds. They should be whipped or something. They must have been in the hands of the slave traders for a long time. The mark of slavery is not only on the body, but also engraved in the heart. If I'm not mistaken, I'm afraid that someone has said similar things to them before. They were promised freedom, but if anyone dared to leave, they would face a more terrible punishment. Jin himself was very clear about the methods of those slave traders. He had also experienced this kind of thing, but the merchant died in his hands. The life of escape was a very unpleasant experience. From the eyes of these people, he could see whether their inner hope had been completely wiped out. The desire for freedom could not be hidden. At this time, there was no ripple in their eyes, which showed that their hearts had long been dead. Jin did not go down to purchase supplies. The goods on the ship were more important. Whether it was the wood of the treasure tree Adam or some materials for making pure gold, he had to guard them personally. After simply replenishing the fresh water, the ship continued to sail under the cover of Olga's ability. They were like a ghost ship on the sea, and outsiders could not find their traces at all. Sister Olga, you don't have to care about this kind of thing. Letting them go may not be a good thing. The pirate ship has always been ranked by status. The ordinary members of the beasts don't know that Olga has lived for more than 100 years. Except for Quinn, the identities of the high-ranking members of the beasts are all from different backgrounds. However, her status is still worthy of being called the elder sister. This is the new world. If you let them go, I'm afraid they will be caught again in a short time, or die in a corner. That's right. Anyway, they have been bought back. Sister, you can stay as a servant. It is normal for ordinary pirates to please the Carters. The personalities of the Carters of the beasts are all strange. Until now, no one knows what Jin and Shaina look like, and they can't figure out their personalities. However, Quinn and Olga's preferences are easy to find out. It won't lose anything to say a few words, so they also expressed some of their own opinions. Ah, so annoying. How can something so simple become so troublesome? In the end, these people were taken back by her and stayed in the current base to clean up and do some odd jobs. Olga's training became more compact, and the small things added up made her more eager for strength. After a while, Arceus' ship returned, but he did not get anything. He did not find what he needed on the several islands he explored. The ship has not yet docked, and the island has been prepared for reception. Saint Beast, welcome back. Yeah. He did not ask Shaina if she had any gains. If she had, then Denmashi would have contacted her. Now it depends on what the news is from Kaido. Is Kaido not come back yet? Saint Beast, have you not read the newspaper recently? No, I haven't seen the newsbird during this period. He saw the news of the bounty order. At that time, the pirates on the ship were so scared that they dared not breathe because Arceus had just killed a Sea King before he got the newspaper. But he didn't get angry, at least not in the eyes of the pirates, and then they continued sailing, as if nothing had happened. Arceus was not too angry. It should be said that this was also within his expectations. Those who set the bounty have always had some problems in their brains. If you look for the most unlucky person in the bounty, Blackbeard is probably at the top of the list. He has worked hard for decades, but his bounty has never exceeded 3 billion, and then 3 billion appeared overnight. Then the pattern of the 4 emperors has also changed dramatically. In addition to him, the other 3 people are related to each other, which is outrageous, no matter how you look at it. In addition to the bounties of minority races such as Chopper and Bepo, it is within his expectations that the world government will make this judgment. This kind of thing is not worth wasting his time, but he will solve it along the way, if he has the chance. After that, they never encountered the news bird again. That, you will know when you read it. Shaina sorted out the recent intelligence. The news that Comrade Kaido once again occupied the front page of the newspaper, and he encountered trouble again while going out. This time it was not the Navy, but a big pirate in the New World. Arceus had never heard of this banner, so he didn't care. What's more, the content in the news was not that he was arrested, but that he made a big fuss in the other party's territory. Relying on this bug level skill, it is basically impossible to cause fatal injuries to Kaido before his physical strength is completely exhausted. Neither side can do anything to the other, but the home pirate group is obviously the disadvantaged party. A few days later, Kaido also flew back, and there were several more red crosses on the map, indicating that there was no stone slab there. However, this does not mean that these places can be completely ignored. The stone slab will not move, but who knows if it will be taken to the island that has been searched by someone. The search work is still a long way to go. Kaido can't stay away from the territory all the time. He won't go out again in a short time. Quinn was busy with his plantation plan before. After hard work, he successfully obtained seeds from tropical dragon bananas. Tropical dragon bananas are special bananas. The seeds inside have degenerated, but not completely degenerated. There will still be a seed that can be planted inside the banana. After his hard work, the first batch of banana seedlings successfully appeared, but the soil of the agricultural island in Kaido's territory was not suitable for banana cultivation, so he went out to find a new island. Sometime later, after finishing the training, Alga found Arceus with a gift treasure map. Chapter 79, The Banana War. Master Holy Beast, how about we go treasure hunting? Maybe the treasure has what you want? Alga held up the treasure map in her hand. Although this thing was a gift, she also checked it with the sea map after returning. The location on it actually existed on an island in the New World. Her intuition told her that there was something good in it. She was still very confident in her intuition. She survived in the belly of the giant lanternfish for so many years. There were so many fruits on the island. She perfectly avoided the poisonous wild fruits, met the easygoing Elizabeth, avoided the siege of dinosaurs, and bypassed the stomach acid tide. Moreover, treasure hunting is also one of the main professions of pirates. She is also a little interested in treasure hunting, but she is very self-aware. Now she goes out to hunt for treasure by herself, which is free, and will cause trouble to others. It is not possible to find Kaido. Kaido is likely to agree to her request. After all, trainees are group favorites, but according to Kaido's character, he will definitely throw her over to train alone. Shaina couldn't do it either. This meaningless thing was a waste of time for her, and she would think Alga was too idle, and would catch her for extra training. After thinking about it, only Arceus would agree to this request, and she didn't say anything nonsense. Arceus' goal was to find the stone slab, but he didn't know the location of the stone slab, so all the islands in the sea could be his target. With the water drop stone slab in hand, the sea became his home court, and he didn't have to worry about encountering any trouble. A few months passed, and there was no gain. Since Olga made a so-called treasure map, it would be okay to go again, just in case she was lucky enough to find it. Olga had already made a lot of marks on the treasure map, and basically determined the route and target. Treasure hunt. Well, let's try our luck. Let Shaina prepare the boat and set off tomorrow. Okay, Lord Saint Beast, I'll tell Sister Shaina right away. Arceus designated a new destination, and the corresponding manpower was also prepared. At the same time, Quinn ushered in the harvest season for the first batch of bananas. The bananas of tropical dragons are not ordinary bananas. After Quinn's cultivation, these banana seedlings grow very fast. In just half a year, they have grown from seedlings to a state that can be harvested. The fruit is not yet fully mature, but Quinn already knows that he has cultivated it successfully. It is too late to wait for bananas to be fully mature. Generally, they are picked before they are ripe, and then wait for them to mature. Only people in the planting area can taste the taste of fully ripe fruits. Quinn had picked them in advance and tasted them. Although they are not as good as the original ones, their sweetness is far better than ordinary bananas. and he was surprised to find that this kind of banana has a longer shelf life, which is undoubtedly a good thing, but his banana plantation still has some troubles. The inhabited islands in the New World basically have their owners, but at the junction of various forces, there are usually some uninhabited islands, which form a boundary-like existence. Quinn chose such an island. Some of the defeated pirate captives were brought here by him, and a banana plantation was established. Compared to mining in the mines, growing bananas here seems to be easier. At least you can see the sun every day, so those people are scrambling to come here. There are very few people who are born pirates. Many pirates were just ordinary farmers, merchants, and fishermen before they went to sea. For various reasons, or the trend of desire, or the coercion of external forces, they finally embarked on this path. Growing bananas is just an old business for some people. But today, a battle broke out on this island, and the reason for the battle was these bananas. This morning, the people on the island began to take care of these bananas as scheduled. There were also dozens of members of the beasts, who served as supervisors. This was originally an uninhabited tropical island. Quinn only reclaimed part of the farmland, so only part of the island was garrisoned. Originally, they didn't have to guard anything, but some time ago, Quinn found that several boxes of bananas he had picked in advance to ripen were actually lost. This made him very angry, so he asked the pirates on the island to strengthen patrols. At this time, on the back of the island, another pirate ship landed. The pirate ship looks very jolly, and it is decorated with many snack-like things. The pattern on the pirate flag is a skull with lipstick on it, and the crossbones behind it are replaced by long candy-like things. The leader of the Big Mom Pirates is Charlotte Perospero, the eldest son of the Charlotte family. As the eldest son of the family, Perospero is now shouldering an important task. When Big Mom's ship sailed to a nearby island some time ago, Charlotte Linlin's cravings suddenly broke out. Her cravings are indeed a matter of luck. If she can't get the food she wants, she will keep destroying it. The last time the cravings broke out, the target was banana mousse, and the people of the Big Mom Pirates had to look for materials everywhere. It happened that someone moved those boxes of bananas here, and the pirates on the island were all asleep, and they didn't expect anyone to steal bananas. And Charlotte Linlin was also successfully convinced by the taste of banana mousse. After that, no matter what kind of banana it was, she felt it was not delicious, and her children also planned to occupy this place. The last time they came was at night, and the pirates didn't notice them. This time they appeared in broad daylight. When the pirates in the plantation saw the Big Mom personnel, they were all stunned. "Who are you?" "QQQ, we are here to take over this island. From now on, this is our territory. As long as you hand over enough bananas every year, you can borrow our flag. Except for the territory of the Kingdom of Totland, the islands occupied outside are just borrowing flags. They don't need to hand over their lifespans, but they have to pay enough tribute every quarter, otherwise they will be destroyed. They may not be able to grow well by themselves, and they don't have so many people, so they let the locals serve them." Although Perospero said this, he was actually notifying them. "What a joke. Who do you think you are, kid? This is 100. Before he finished speaking, a large amount of candy wrapped him up and suppressed his voice. "This is not a discussion, this is an order. Does anyone have any objections?" Suddenly, a threat came from the air. Perospero used candies to form a wall to block the attack from above. Seeds were embedded in his candy wall. "So, it seems that you were the ones who stole my bananas a few days ago, right?" Chapter 80 The duel between the two old six. Quinn was very angry. He had put a lot of effort into these bananas. When he was about to harvest them, a thief wanted to steal his things. Oh no, this was not stealing, it was robbery. He was Quinn, the fourth in command of the Beast's pirates. Arceus and Kaido were at the same level. There were Shaina and Jin in front of him, but the fourth in command was also a senior Kada, who wouldn't have a temper, and Quinn had accumulated a lot of resentment. It was normal for the Kadas of the Beast's pirates to fight. Shaina and Jin were sparring every few days, but because he came from a research institute, he didn't know when he would get into trouble. Although most of the time, there were accidents from time to time, such as the bounty order incident. He couldn't beat the Kadas of the right age, and the ones he could beat were too young. If he dragged Alga to practice, Shaina and Kaido would drag him to practice in a few days. It was no joke that trainees were the favorites of the group. On the other hand, the Beast's pirates now have strict internal regulations. At most, he can beat and scold his subordinates when they make mistakes. As for some experiments, they can only be tried on those stubborn pirates who refuse to surrender. Kaido is very smart. Since someone can manage the affairs of the pirate group in an orderly manner, it is naturally best for him to free up his hands to do what he wants. As long as they don't get close to the drunk Kaido, there will be no major dangers for the Beast's pirates. Quinn has changed. The ability of the tropical dragon has given him more transformation plans for himself. Combining some abilities, he has developed more fighting methods. Some research has become a personal hobby rather than a necessity. So it was you guys who stole the bananas I cultivated before. A group of Beast's pirates ran behind Quinn and continued to confront Big Mom's people. The person whose face was covered by the candy cube was also dragged over. The average physique is much stronger than that of ordinary people, so this time will not make him die. The Cardas are the backbone of the pirates, and the appearance of Quinn has given them confidence. Lick it. This is what Mom needs. You should offer it with gratitude. Perospero licked the candy scepter in his hand. He didn't take Quinn's seed attack seriously. Offer it? Who do you think I am? You'd better disappear on this island. I'll use your bodies as fertilizer to compensate for the bananas I lost. Quinn's figure began to swell, and a huge humanoid tropical dragon stood up in front of them. A green energy began to condense in his mouth, and then he spit out an energy ball. Looking at the green energy ball that was bombarding, a large amount of sugar liquid appeared in Perospero's hand, and then formed a tall candy wall. Perospero is a candy man who ate the licking fruit. He can make candies and syrups of various shapes. The syrup he made can also erode and infect other objects, turning other things into candies. The solidified candy is very hard, and the candy wall he made is enough to resist artillery fire. Although the energy ball blew some cracks on the candy wall, it was not directly destroyed. However, the candy fragments that flew out after the collapse hurt the bananas nearby. Seeing the bananas that were split in two and fell on the soil, both Quinn and Perospero's expressions became ugly. Quinn's expression was ugly because his bananas were destroyed, and Perospero had the same reason. Before leaving, he vowed to Big Mom that he would bring these bananas back. In addition, in order to demonstrate his ability, he refused to bring other brothers and sisters here, and only brought some pirates under his command. There is no pirate flag here. At the beginning, Quinn thought that there would always be some people who wanted to become famous, and would specifically challenge the territories of other pirates. This was originally an uninhabited deserted island. As long as the pirate flag was not hung, no one should come here. At the beginning, the people of Big Mom just wanted to find some wild bananas to see if they could be used in an emergency. Unexpectedly, they ran into Quinn's plantation by mistake. As a result, the young Charlotte Lin was overwhelmed by the taste of this banana. If the bananas could not be brought back, or if they were destroyed, Perospero had a few drops of cold sweat on his head, and he dared not imagine the result. In terms of mission failure, Big Mom's patience is not as good as Kaido's, even for her own children. The idea of using the fastest and least aftermath to solve the enemy appeared in the minds of Quinn and Perospero at the same time. Previously, because of the bananas, they started fighting directly and did not pay attention to the logo on the other party. Now because of the bananas, they were forced to calm down and also saw the logo on the other party. The tattoo on Quinn's right shoulder, the logo on the chest of the pirates under Big Mom. However, this did not ease anything. Quinn knew from the original phone call that Kaido and Big Mom had some personal relationship, and Perospero was born when Kaido was still on the Rocks ship. He also knew that Kaido had some relationship with his mother, but this relationship is not enough to stop the two pirates from fighting. If the interests conflict, even Kaido and Big Mom will not cherish the old feelings. However, they did not continue to fight, otherwise the aftermath of the battle would definitely destroy the bananas here. Quinn was reluctant to give up the bananas, and Perospero was reluctant to give up himself. Without the bananas, Quinn could wait for half a year at most to cultivate banana seedlings again, but Perospero was not sure. The two people with different thoughts did not take action for a while, and they were also calculating their own plans in their hearts. For example, there was syrup quietly oozing out under Perospero's feet. This is what my mother wants. Since this is the territory of the beasts, how about I buy these bananas at a high price? He was not afraid of Quinn. He was afraid that the aunt would be angry, but Quinn had no intention of giving him face at all. Don't even think about it. All the bananas belong to me. No one can take any banana from me. That's a pity for Candy Wave. A large amount of syrup suddenly gushed out from the ground, and the sticky syrup rolled up and surged towards Quinn like a wave. What he said just now was true. Things that can be solved with a little money are not a problem at all, but if Quinn refused, he could only take what he wanted in this way. Quinn showed a disdainful smile. Perospero had not noticed that the leaves Quinn had just gathered behind him were glowing, and the power of the sun was gradually gathering on the leaves behind him. While he was planning to do something to Quinn had the same idea. Chapter 81 Trouble comes from the mouth. Candy Wave is liquid syrup, and Perospero wants to use it to bind Quinn and others, and then take the banana away. Unfortunately, when he was secretly using his ability, Quinn was also secretly using his ability, and Perospero was facing the backlight, which became his biggest foreshadowing. The power of sunlight is gathered into the body through the leaves on the back, which is the ultimate move of grass-type Pokemon, Sunshine Flame. It needs to be charged before attacking, and it is also affected by weather conditions, but if it is released successfully, the power is considerable. Although it is a grass-type skill, as an attack released by absorbing the power of the sun, it itself has high temperature. Devil fruit is an unscientific thing, but it follows strange rules. The candy made by licking fruit is as hard as steel, but it is afraid of high temperature. Perospero can defend against the high temperature generated by the explosion of the energy ball, but the high temperature continuously generated by the sunshine flame is different. The candy wave he released was directly evaporated by the attack of the sunshine flame. The pirates around Perospero looked at the sunshine flame coming and wanted to escape, but their bodies became particularly heavy, and they could only watch the sunshine flame getting closer and closer. Although Perospero held up the candy defense, the moment the candy wall came into contact with the sunlight flame, it was melted by the high temperature attached to it, and the original defense power was gone. The group was directly blown away by Quinn's sunlight flame. Perospero is only 19 years old this year. Although he ate the licking fruit, his strength is still in the growth stage. And although he is the eldest son, his combat power is not the strongest. The 25-year-old Quinn has developed more comprehensively, and the sunlight flame after charging has restrained the fruit ability, so it is not surprising that he has gained an advantage. But he still lost some bananas. He didn't want to, but he had no choice. He refused to compromise with Perospero. This is his thing. If others want to take it away, he will not let the other party succeed, even if he destroys it. This loss can only be reduced as much as possible. All of Perospero's people were attacked by Quinn's sunlight flame. It's not that they don't want to avoid it, but they can't avoid it after their bodies become slow. At this time, there was a sweet smell in the air. This was neither the aroma of ripe bananas nor the aroma of Perospero candy, but the sweet smell released by Quinn, a skill that can reduce the enemy's chance of dodging. The actual effect is that this aroma contains special toxins that can make people's bodies dull. Hahaha, this is the end of stealing my things. You know how powerful your Uncle Quinn is. What is that woman Shaina? If I hadn't let her go, would she be my opponent? As the topic seemed to become wrong, Quinn found a sense of satisfaction in Perospero, and suddenly there was a mysterious confidence. That, Brother Quinn, what are you doing? What are you idiots doing? Hurry up and tie them up, and then go harvest bananas. We can't stay here anymore. We have to change places. Although he successfully cultivated the first batch of bananas here, Big Mom's people also discovered this place. It is a certain distance away from the territory of the beasts, and the strategic value is not high, so it is not meaningful to occupy it. So he decided to build a bigger plantation in another place. No, Brother Quinn, isn't it nice to talk about the big sister behind her back? Huh, behind her back? I dare to say it even to her face. She's just a woman. He took out a cigar and planned to relax. During this process, he kept staring at the direction of Perospero. After all, he was the eldest son of the Charlotte family. Even if he was restrained, he couldn't be so weak that he could be killed in one blow. Just as he was looking for fire, a finger burning with fire was placed in front of him. Quinn didn't think there was anything wrong and lit the cigar directly, but after a delay of a few tenths of a second, he felt that the hand was a little familiar. You are very confident, very good, very energetic. What's wrong with me, a woman? I want to hear your comments. Gulp. Quinn swallowed his saliva and turned his head stiffly. Then his eyes almost popped out. Why are you here? In Quinn's sight was Shaina flying low in the sky. Wasn't it Shaina's hand that lit the cigar just now? An ominous premonition came to his mind. He carefully calculated the days and found that the days when she was unwell had long ended. But no matter how he thought about it, Shaina shouldn't be here. You didn't run so far just to fight me? No, the Holy Beast Master is going to find treasure. I'm just accompanying him. I just happened to pass by here, and the destination is nearby. They plan to replenish supplies here before setting off again. Just then, there was a sound of fighting here, and Shaina came over to see what happened. I was thinking, but now I have changed my mind. We were originally planning to rest here. I think you are very confident. Let's start in a while. Wait. You heard it wrong. I didn't say anything. If you don't believe me, ask them. Quinn pointed to the younger brother behind him, and Shaina also looked over. The pressure was transferred to them at once. After a few tenths of a second of hesitation, they sold out Quinn without hesitation. Shaina had already come, but Quinn just didn't notice. Their veto could not change the outcome, and they could only bring trouble upon themselves. I'm sorry, Brother Quinn. Queue up, Bo, apologize, and stay away. His younger brothers explained everything with the actual situation. The matter was a foregone conclusion, and they didn't want to offend the disciplinary committee of the pirate group. You cowards. Although he was not qualified to say this, it didn't affect his dis in his heart. Well, I think it's more important to deal with the enemy first. He hoped very much that Perospero had not lost his fighting power so that he could achieve the transfer of contradictions. And Perospero did not disappoint him and stood up again. There were also several pirates around him who had not fallen yet. Quinn had not had many opportunities to appear during this period, and he was also beaten into a background board by Wald in the last battle of Wald, so he had not been rewarded. But Shaina was different. She and Jin had been fighting almost all the time during this period, and her own reputation had been established. Lord Perospero, that woman is Princess Yanzha. Their reinforcements seem to have arrived. I'm not blind yet. Prepare to retreat. But what about Mom? There's no other way. Just tell her the truth about what happened here. Mom should understand and hope for the future. He didn't quite believe what he said, but he could only comfort himself this way. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Heater Combo Skills. Quinn Bowling. Shaina had a good reputation in the territory. As the disciplinary committee member of the Beast Pirates, she not only followed the rules set by Arceus and Arcee, but also maintained the discipline within the Beast Pirates. This made the residents in the territory feel very good about her. Although ordinary pirates were a little afraid, they were more in awe. As long as they didn't cross the red line, Shaina was a very good big sister. In the battle, she was completely at the forefront and gnawed the hardest bone. But for outsiders, she left a completely fierce reputation. Princess Yanclaw, the Princess of Fireclaw, didn't know how many pirates of hostile forces died under her flaming claws. Because she maintained the human beast form for a long time, her half-beast hands and feet helped her to lay such a name. One Quinn had already made Perospero feel difficult, and with a Shaina, they were not opponents. But it was not so easy to retreat. Nowadays, many people were unwilling to fight with the beast pirates on the sea because they had the ability to fly, from the captain to the carders. Although flying and staying in the air have the same purpose, their meanings are completely different. The short-term means of staying in the air cannot match the natural ability to fly. The ship on the sea is their only foothold. Unless they are aquatic races like fishmen, Falling into the sea will weaken the combat power of any pirate. Even if they are not capable people, the resistance of the seawater will affect their strength. The advantage of air supremacy is fully utilized by the beast pirates. Facing an opponent who can fly, it is not so easy to get away, and Perospero's ability is completely defeated by Shaina. Quinn only has one skill, Sunshine Flame, with continuous high temperature, while all of Shaina's attacks are accompanied by fierce flames. Their physical skills are not at the same level. When the ability of the licking fruit is completely ineffective, Perospero will appear very powerless in the face of the enemy. But sometimes things always become strange. When Shaina wants to take action, the person who drags her down appears. Was he beaten by Shaina? No, he had so many friendly exchanges with Shaina that Quinn was very familiar with Shaina's attack methods. Flames flowed from the corners of her mouth, and he had seen what Shaina's next plan was. According to her previous habits, this was a sign that she was going to use the big character fire explosion. There was no skill table to limit the number of skills here, so of course she knew a lot of skills. It was okay to use the big character fire explosion on the sea, but the problem was that this was his banana plantation. Quinn thought about the consequences of Shaina's big character fire explosion. He didn't know whether Perospero would die or not, but his bananas were definitely doomed. No, stop it. His body reacted first and directly hugged one of Shaina's legs, which made Shaina, who was flying low, lose her balance and failed to release the big character fire explosion. What are you going to do, you bastard? Shaina stepped on Quinn's face with her other leg. Although there was no flame attached, it also caused Quinn's face to deform slightly. Let go. Are you surrendering to the enemy? Shaina knew that Quinn would never do this, because this guy was a bit of a bully. Not to mention that he couldn't beat her. Knowing that Arceus was nearby, he couldn't be stupid enough to surrender to the enemy. But apart from this word, she couldn't figure out what was wrong with Quinn for a while. No, listen to me and analyze it carefully. It's actually not bad to let them leave. What nonsense are you talking about? Think about it carefully. They are from Big Mom. Brother Kaido and Big Mom seem to have some relationship. So we can't just kill them. If you catch them, you will have to spend time to guard them, which will delay Lord Arceus's treasure hunt. Isn't that bad? Why don't we just let them go, so that we can save Brother Kaido and Lord Arceus time? Don't you think it makes sense? Quinn looked like I was thinking for you, and used serving Arceus as an excuse, but although Shaina focused on Arceus, and gave priority to his affairs, it didn't mean that her intelligence would be reduced to zero when Arceus was mentioned. Do you think I'm a fool? Then they come back with more people, and you are definitely not their opponent. The final result will be the same. No, this way I have enough time to move the bananas away. If you do it, this banana forest will be finished. Quinn spoke out his true feelings, which also changed Shaina's expression. You bastard, I'll eat you to death. Okay, so I'll change to a gentler way of attack. I remember that you have practiced your armament haki well recently. You'd better hope that your armament haki is strong enough. Wait, what are you going to do? Quinn had an ominous premonition, but Shaina ignored him. With the waist as the fulcrum, the leg muscles began to exert force. Quinn was just a weighted legging to her, which did not affect her movements at all. Then she kicked Quinn in the air. Before Quinn could react, he was kicked out by Shaina. Quinn bowling. She decided to name this move after Quinn. After all, Quinn was the main body of the attack. Originally, Perospero and his men were trying to retreat because of the strange internal conflict in the beasts, but it was obviously impossible to get away from here in such a short time. Quinn's body was really like a bowling ball, and it rushed towards Perospero and his men at a high speed. Perospero tried to use candy to stop the approach of this human bowling ball. He thought it was a special cooperation between Quinn and Shaina, but the trajectory he made with candy was melted by the high temperature flames released by Shaina in an instant. Looking at Quinn getting closer and closer, he had to take care of himself first. Candy armor. The armor made of candy wrapped Perospero's body, making him more like a bowling pin. Quinn's body took up a lot of space, and Shaina, who was just far away, rushed over in an instant, kicking the surrounding pirates into Quinn's trajectory one by one. Under the impact of Quinn's bowling ball, all the members of Big Mom were knocked away, or crushed to the ground. Shaina scored a total knockout and then kicked Perospero unconscious, ending the battle. In this battle, Perospero's side was completely wiped out, and one of the beasts was unconscious and one was injured. The reason for the coma was that Perospero's candy caused him to lack of oxygen, and the reason for the injury was accidental injury by friendly forces. This strange way of fighting stunned the younger brothers around, and someone raised another outrageous question. The big sister kicked it out with her feet. Can kicking with the feet be called bowling? Shouldn't it be better to call it shooting? Chapter 83 Contradiction Transfer. No one answered this question. Whether it was football or bowling, the result was the same. Quinn sat up dazed. The armed color he had trained through countless hammering protected his body. The bowling attack also prevented his bananas from being baptized by fire. Although he hit a few banana trees, the bananas on them could still be rescued. Quinn felt that his efforts were worth it. What are you guys still standing there for? Quickly tie these guys up, then harvest the bananas, and dig out the banana seedlings for transplanting. Looking at the younger brothers around who were enjoying the bowling performance, Quinn roared at them, and gave them orders. The spherical attack did not cause too much burden to him. The transformed body was very tenacious, and the armed color domineering protected the vitals. Moreover, his body size was similar to that of the bull, so it was not too much of a burden. Of course, there were no ceased and handcuffs in a plantation, but there were always more solutions than difficulties. The pirates dug a pit near the sea, and after confirming that it was full of seawater, they buried Perospero in it, leaving only his head outside. In a powerless state, he had no ability to break free from the sand. Wet sand could produce the same effect as quicksand, and the huge adsorption force bound him. Due to the length of his tongue, the salty smell of the seawater kept feeding back to his head from the taste buds on his tongue, which made him a sweet lover. Very painful. And now Quinn is discussing with Shaina how to deal with Perospero. The big pirates are not just fighting and killing each other, but human relationships. Pirates of the same level will adhere to the attitude of not interfering with each other before they completely fall out. At this time, Perospero is defeated. If he is killed, it means a complete breakup with Big Mom. In view of the unclear relationship between Kaido and Big Mom, Quinn still hesitated, but he has ordered his brothers to move with the banana tree overnight. Now there are only a few of them left on the island. As Shaina said, whether Perospero is let go or caught, it will be a trouble in the end, and the extent of the trouble depends on the ideas of Kaido and Charlotte Lindlin. Lord Arceus, how about you give us some advice? Not knowing how to deal with it for a moment, Quinn pushed the problem to Arceus, and as soon as he finished asking, he was hit by Shaina's punch. Don't cause trouble for Lord Holy Beast. If you hadn't built the plantation in this place, would there be so much trouble? Although she used Quinn's bowling, she still had a strong resentment towards Quinn's behavior of dragging his feet at the last minute. Not long after, the den mushi on Perospero rang, and the ringing sound also woke up the unconscious Perospero, and as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the scene of Quinn being beaten violently. The sound of the den mushi also made Quinn react to a problem. No, he's the one who's causing trouble. Why are you hitting me? You should hit him. This is called accountability. The trouble he caused is reflected on you and indirectly caused me to get into trouble, so I'm only looking for problems with you. The problems between you and him are your business. Since Shaina has been a disciplinary committee member for a long time, she is very familiar with some of the rules arranged by Arceus, and she has also developed some creativity. She got Quinn into trouble in a few words. Hey, you don't want to anger Big Mom, do you? If you don't want to, bring me the den mushi. Perospero, who was buried underground, shouted at Quinn. He was not threatening, but he was really worried that Big Mom would be angry. If he didn't go back by the specified time, Big Mom would definitely find out that something was wrong. But Perospero was not happy, because when Big Mom found out that he failed, he would be punished severely. The ideal situation is that these people in front of him compromise and let him take the things back. As for the injured and dead pirates, Big Mom would not care about such things. As long as he didn't say anything, there would be no problem. As the eldest son, he knew best what an angry Big Mom looked like, especially when he failed to bring back the food she wanted. If he was unlucky enough to catch Big Mom's food cravings, Perospero was almost shaking when he thought of that situation. Unfortunately, things did not develop as he expected. Although the Dendenmushi was brought over, it was not given to him directly, but was placed in front of him by Shaina. What do you mean? Find a way to answer the phone yourself. I think your tongue should be able to do this. He was about to leave after saying that. This was the solution Quinn came up with when he was being beaten unilaterally. Since this matter was so troublesome, let Kaido handle it alone, and they just need to continue doing their own things. As long as this troublesome matter is not their own, it is not a trouble. After putting down the Dendenmushi, Shaina and others left here directly, leaving only a group of pirates buried under the sand. The Dendenmushi kept ringing, and Perospero finally licked the receiver with great difficulty. Brother Paris, why haven't you come back yet? Mom is already angry. Hearing the voices of his younger brother and sister on the other end of the phone, Perospero breathed a sigh of relief, but the next moment, the voice of Big Mom made him nervous again. Perospero, why haven't you come back yet? Didn't you say it would only take a few hours? Although the Dendenmushi is based on the same principle as the phone, it has the effect of a video call. The imitation ability of the Dendenmushi allows the person on the other end to clearly know who is answering the phone. The Dendenmushi that turned into Big Mom made Perospero almost bite his tongue. No, Mom, listen to my explanation. This is just an accident. I encountered a special situation. No need to explain. The loser will be punished, but let's talk about this later. I'll find you now. A busy tone came from the other side of the Dendenmushi, and Perospero's face turned grey. He felt that his life had lost its future. At the same time, Quinn's face was equally pale. Looking at the Dendenmushi in his hand, Kaido was facing him. Through the contradiction transfer method, this contradiction was thrown to Kaido. Although it caused him some trouble, it was nothing compared to the trouble he caused after drinking. However, the important task of notifying Kaido was given to Quinn. Kaido did not say anything else, but just notified Quinn that he would help him strengthen his training of armed color after he returned. As his Kada, Quinn's combat power was a little behind. He felt that, if he went back now, he would inevitably encounter misfortune, so he asked to join Arceus treasure hunting team first, and planned to go back after a while. Given Kaido's personality, he would most likely forget about this matter after a drink. Chapter 84, The Son of a Piss-Off Mother. After Quinn followed Arceus and the others and left here, Perospero and the others were unable to break free from the sea sand. For ordinary pirates, the waterlogged sea sand was too heavy, and they had no way to exert any strength. For Perospero, the sea water above was what restricted them. It was not until the other members of Big Mom came here that Perospero was dug out. Brother Paris, Kamta, it's you who's here. Isn't Mom going to come here in person? Charlotte Kamta, the eldest daughter of the Charlotte family, saw that the person who came was Kamta, and Perospero was slightly relieved. It wasn't Charlotte Linlin who came in person, which at least meant that her anger was still under control. Mom is still very angry, but you don't have to worry too much, Brother Paris. The punishment for you this time shouldn't be too severe, right? What's wrong? Mom wanted to come here in person, but she called someone before, and this matter may not be handled by us anymore. And there are guests of Mom in Totland now, so Mom didn't come here in person, but you didn't bring back the bananas that Mom wanted, so you will definitely be punished. Perospero sat on the ground with a headache. Not too severe means that his lifespan will not be taken away, but it is hard to say what the specific punishment is. Lord Perospero, in fact, they didn't take all the bananas. After these people returned from the banana forest, they brought back something that made Perospero slightly happy. Those were the bananas that were affected in the previous battle. Some of them had their skins burned black, some were cut by candy fragments, and some were crushed. After all the bananas and banana seedlings were loaded onto the ship's cargo hold was already full, and there were also prisoners and other pirates who had to be taken away, so these bad fruits were thrown here. Looking at these bad fruits, Perospero felt very complicated. Half of the reason why Charlotte Lingling was angry was related to food, and it was easy to calm her anger, just find the food she needed, but these were all bad fruits. Kampa, you are willing to help me, right? Brother Paris, what are you going to do? Compared with their mother, the brothers and sisters of the Charlotte family are more united, especially when the aunt's food cravings attack. Not everyone in the Charlotte family is good at cooking, especially the sons, but the daughters of the Charlotte family have some desserts that they are good at. And Kumper is better at making candied fruits. The chopped fruits are cooked, sweet spices are added, and then mixed with syrup for consumption. In the past, this was a way to preserve fruits, that is, canned fruits. After different cooking times and different sugar additions, the dishes that can be obtained are also different things. Looking at Perispero's eyes, Kumper seemed to understand what he wanted to do. Brother Peris, do you want to cut off the bad part, and then process it, and bring it back to mom? You never know what environment the food you eat is in, and what materials it is made of. As long as it tastes good and the matter is not exposed, it is not a big deal. Auntie really doesn't pay much attention to food hygiene and safety. Homies, who is infused with soul, runs around in various places every day. When she has an attack of bulimia, she will directly eat the house made of food. I have never heard that she has a stomachache. As for why there are still bananas after failure, he only needs to explain that he snatched them in the previous battle. Auntie's intelligence will drop sharply when facing food. Whether to fool his mother or expose Perispero, Kumper chose the former. This kind of thing is really not a big deal. As long as they don't say it, no one will know. The only people who knew about this matter were those who came with Perispero. The people who came with Kumpert were not here, and Perispero was not worried that they would report it. You all know my mother's character. If I'm punished, you may lose your life. If you want to live, you should work honestly according to Kumperto's instructions. As for reporting to my mother, I believe you will not do such a stupid thing. Lord Perispero, don't worry, we know it very well. The big mob pirates don't have any merits and demerits. At most, they will go from plundering 50 years of life to plundering 40 years. Even if they do nothing, they will definitely be punished when they return. In this case, it's better to board Perispero's pirate ship. After simple processing, they got a lot of bananas that looked fine. Although they were not fully ripe, they were just right for this kind of place. Perispero's fruit ability can provide a lot of high quality syrup. Although this will make some people feel too sweet, it doesn't have much impact on Big Mom. After processing, they got a large bowl of candied fruits. The main ingredients are those bananas, and the ingredients are other fruits. There are no big problems with these ingredients, but they have encountered some minor misfortunes before, so Kumperto didn't mind, and tasted it himself. This taste. No wonder it makes mom so interested. But brother Paris, if mom gets addicted to this taste and keeps asking us to find this banana, what should we do? Let's talk about it later. Let's get through this hurdle first. As for what to do with the east wall, after taking down Peter, he didn't have time to think about it now. Let's save the west wall first. With a nervous mood, Perispero and Kumpert boarded the ship back to Totland. Not long ago, the main island of the kingdom of Totland, Cake Island. After the last food craving ended, the big mob pirates returned here. Perispero failed to bring back bananas within the specified time, and the others did not find a substitute for this banana. They tried all kinds of bananas in Totland, but none of them could reach the sweetness of this banana, and that banana also contained the unique sweetness of other fruits, and cleverly blended them together. This challenged Big Mom's patience to a certain extent. Originally, she was going to find Perispero in person, but Kaido called directly. You mean, the people on that island are yours? That's right, Lingling, it's not appropriate for your people to invade my territory. Well Kaido, it seems that you have been doing well recently, but I'm very interested in that thing. But those are my little brother's things. If he doesn't agree, you can't take these things away. It seems that we can't solve this problem over the phone. Don't worry, I'm here. Kaido hung up the phone, and Big Mom also heard the noise coming from outside the door. Mom. Oh no, something is coming. Chapter 85 Kaido, the middleman who makes capital cry. The blue dragon flew over the Cake Island. The residents of Cake Island and homies were all startled by the sudden appearance of this huge monster. Charlotte Linlin walked out of the gate and looked at Kaido in the sky with a special smile on her lips. Well, the little brother back then is not cute at all when he grows up. Kaido's fruits were all given by her, so of course she could recognize Kaido after the beastification. And the reason why Kaido appeared here was that he didn't want his territory to be affected. Charlotte Linlin was sometimes a lunatic, and Kaido knew this very well. But those were things planted by Quinn, and he knew that Quinn had been busy for a long time to plant these things. Since Quinn didn't want to take it out, no one could steal it. In order to prevent Charlotte Linlin from causing damage in his territory, he came directly to Cake Island and planned to make things clear here, so that even if a fight broke out, it would be Charlotte Linlin's territory that would be destroyed, and his own territory would be safe. 7 years. No, almost 8 years. I haven't seen Kaido for almost 8 years. I didn't expect you to come to me for such a thing. John's territory has been robbed by you. I guess the treasure has also fallen into your hands, right? What are you talking about? I didn't find John at all. I just robbed that piece of territory. Whoever thinks Kaido is stupid is the real stupid one. This guy is very cunning. No matter who asks him about Captain John, he will never tell. That is the current financial code of the Beast Pirates. Many policies formulated by Arceus are very expensive. In the early stage, they were all maintained by those treasures. Even if they are short of money now, they can go there to get it. Well, is that so? John's luck is really bad. He actually died in the civil strife. But since you are here, let's have a good talk. After 7 or 8 years, the two pirates met again, because of some bananas. Kaido came here obviously to talk. If he can talk, it means that it is not that he can't get it, but it requires a certain price. Since it's your territory, I'll buy it with my money. You have to send the bananas to me every year. That's impossible, Lingling. At most, I'll give you a share after the production expands. Besides, I'm not interested in money. To be precise, selling bananas can only make a few dollars. He is not interested in such things. He is here to be a middleman. If Charlotte Lingling wants to rob, he will never agree. He has always been very nice to the younger brother he likes. It is impossible for him to compromise just because the other party is Charlotte Lingling. But it's different for transactions. Even if Quinn can eat a lot, there is a limit, but there is no limit to the planting range of bananas. As the range expands, he will naturally have extra bananas to sell to Charlotte Lingling. But this kind of banana is only available to him. He is in a monopoly position and will naturally not be satisfied with those baileys. What he wants is Charlotte Lingling's intelligence network. The big pirates have their own intelligence networks. If they rely on newspapers, they will be cheated by Morgan sooner or later. He does dare to report any major event, but he also reports fake news for the sake of attracting attention. Among the many pirates in the New World, Charlotte Linlin is the one who has the closest contact with the Grey World. She needs all kinds of high quality ingredients, as well as collecting people or other creatures of various races to the 10,000 nations, which requires the intelligence network of the underground world. And he wants to use Charlotte Linlin's intelligence network to collect information about those stone tablets. He uses the stone tablets to exchange for powerful abilities with Arceus. And Charlotte Linlin pays with fruits, and this middleman can be said to have made a lot of money. Borrowing the intelligence network is not a big deal for Charlotte Linlin, and Kaido is sure that she will not refuse. Intelligence network? What are you looking for? It has nothing to do with you. You get what you want, and I get what I want. Why do we have to make it so clear? But I need those bananas now. I seem to have heard about the things you are looking for somewhere. The indestructible strange stone slab. If your information is true, it is not impossible to negotiate. He would not fight with Quinn for such things, but if the information is true, Quinn would choose to compromise, because Shaina would definitely have a cordial and friendly exchange with him after knowing it. In this case, I will go and find the things, and then we will trade. Kaido, I will give you a favor. I only want half of the bananas on that island. Okay. Although Quinn would suffer losses, as long as there is a stone slab, Arceus would definitely not mind helping him make up for this loss. Compared with these second generation bananas, the original bananas will obviously taste better. However, after Kaido and Charlotte Linlin reached a deal, a spoiler appeared. Lingling. Who is that? What are you doing? How can you drink? Charlotte Lingling is a pirate, Kaido is also a pirate, and they are old acquaintances. After reaching a certain deal, it is normal for the two of them to drink with their arms around each other. At this time, Charlotte Lingling is less than 40 years old. When the aunt was over 60 years old, she was completely two different people from when she was young. After the age of 48, her face began to become resolute, but before that, her appearance was very beautiful. And she is the type that Boss KO likes. As we all know, Charlotte Lingling has many children and husbands. The one who questioned Charlotte Lingling was her new husband. At this time, Charlotte Lingling still had a child in her belly, but pregnancy did not affect her fighting. Her monster physique was different from that of ordinary people. In a sense, the aunt's first husband was very strong. When her husband saw Charlotte Lingling and another young man arm in arm and drinking, he felt his nerves were beating. Moreover, Charlotte Lingling's husband often makes a mistake. That is, he overestimates his position in Charlotte Lingling's heart. She values capable children, but for her, her husband is just a tool, and the child is usually abandoned at birth. Her current husband does not know that his term of office is only a few months away. There were still a few months left, but at this time he came out to disturb Charlotte Lingling, which made Charlotte Lingling, who was already pregnant, think that he was a waste that was in the way. So when he muttered something and approached the aunt, he only got a ruthless slap in the face and became Charlotte Lingling's husband with the shortest term of office. Chapter 86, How to Impersonate an Expert. Kaido's appearance temporarily saved Perospero, causing Big Mom not to go to him in person. If Perospero met Big Mom who was angry, the result would be uncertain. Quinn was also worried about his captain's attitude, but compared to Perospero's uneasiness, Quinn was more relaxed. The worst thing was to be beaten for a few days. He was used to it, but it always felt a bit sad to say it. The treasure map was in Alga's hand. She was directing the navigator and helmsman on the ship to correct the course. There were not many genius navigators, but there were still many people who knew a little common sense of navigation. The reason why Alga was directing the route was because other people could not understand the text on it. Alchemy Island disappeared more than 100 years ago. The text used on their island was very different from that of modern times, and it was also a kind of ancient text. Although the regional culture of the pirate world has a unified language, there are also many dialects and local texts on each island, and each island has its own culture. These characters also have some similarities. The pattern on the treasure map is a kind of ancient characters. Although it is different from Alchemy's characters, they are all pictographic characters. Alga relied on her understanding of Alchemy's characters to translate the characters almost accurately. There are several ways to write the word, and there are similar cases in ancient characters. If you can recognize half of it, you can also roughly guess the pronunciation and meaning of this word. Combined with the context before and after, although there will be differences, the general direction will not be wrong. The merchant used this thing as a gift, because they didn't know that kind of thing at all. Everything that belongs to ancient times is what the world government doesn't want to circulate. Alchemy has even disappeared, and there are more than one similar islands. So many of those characters have been lost, and only a few places specializing in history can interpret them. However, whether these characters can be translated does not affect the viewing of the sea chart. By comparing the positions of islands and ocean currents, you can always find the route, but it is more convenient and labor saving to be literate. Why does this thing look so fake to me? Quinn held the map with a suspicious look. The reason he got on the ship was that he was a treasure hunter expert. How could he prove that he was an expert? He was picking things up. If he couldn't pick anything up, what kind of expert was he? TSK, uncle, you can't even read these words. How do you know it's fake? Anyway, we are just trying our luck. Why don't we go and have a look? Kid, you're still too young and don't know how dangerous this world is. Among all the carders, Arceus was the only one who would not have a conflict with Quinn. The two of them were very similar in many aspects of their personalities, such as narcissism and blind self-confidence. Of course, Arceus couldn't beat Quinn. His combat power was about the same as that of an ordinary soldier. That's not quite right. It should be said that it was less than that of an ordinary soldier. He hadn't lost weight yet, and that body shape didn't give him any advantage in battle. In addition to the trainee's status as the group's favorite, Alga got along well in the Beast group. But what exactly is written on it? I don't quite understand it either, but it seems to mean the great secret treasure of immortality. That's what it means. The great secret treasure of immortality? That sounds more like a lie. From time to time, there are rumors like this on the sea, such as the golden apple, but those are all rumors. Athos pure gold is one of the ways to achieve this, but no one knows whether there is a limit to pure gold. The immortality surgery of the Operation Fruit is the most reliable method known so far, but only the ability users know the specific situation, or those who have experienced the immortality surgery. Many treasure maps have to hang a strong gimmick, such as the treasure that buys the world, the great secret of immortality. Quinn has seen this kind of thing before, but he just said it. He didn't want to go back and be trained by Kaido now. The pirate ship flying the flag of the beast sailed on the sea. In the waters of the New World, the pirate flag is the best pass. If the pirate group itself is strong enough, as long as it does not provoke other pirates in their territory or encounter rogues, it can basically be at peace. This is a tacit understanding between the pirates. If they fight every day, it will not be good for the territory or themselves. Without touching the bottom line, many things can be discussed, such as the banana talks between Kaido and Charlotte Lindlin. In this way, everyone gets what they need. Those who only rely on fighting to solve problems are the lowest level pirates. After sailing for a while, Arceus and others have approached the destination of this trip. At this time, the sky has been covered by clouds, but it is just clouds, and there is no sign of rain. If it is in an ordinary sea area, the appearance of a large number of clouds almost means the arrival of heavy rain. But this is a new world, and all common sense of navigation will be broken here. At this time, Olga is calling for help from a sea, because there are a few words that she really can't guess what they mean. She was only 8 years old before alchemy disappeared, and alchemy's characters were not fully learned, and some complex characters were not recognized. After coming out, alchemy was gone, and a sea did not continue to teach her those things, but learned new characters with her. With a sea's off-field assistance, she finally figured out the meaning of the last paragraph. Midnight swings cut through the clouds, and the moonlight guides the final direction. That should be what it means. Midnight. Moonlight. Are we going to wait here until midnight? I think so. There is a fault on this treasure map. Although it marks the location of the last island, it only guides people to the nearby sea area, and then there is only this sentence. Then wait. Since we are here, we can wait for another night. The people of Beishao dropped anchor and stopped the ship, waiting for the arrival of midnight. The heavy clouds blocked the moonlight, but when midnight came, a crack appeared in the sky, and the moonlight spread along a straight line to the distance. It can be vaguely seen that something seemed to fly through the clouds, and it was they that caused such a crack in the clouds. No matter how many times I have seen it, nature is really strange. Looking at this strange scene, Olga sighed. However, Quinn's focus is different from Olga's. He always feels that those clouds are a bit strange, and they don't seem to be normal clouds. At this time, a whale came from the sky, and then a black shadow fell on Beishao's ship. Chapter 87 Millennium Dragon. The black shadow fell directly on the deck, startling the pirates nearby, but they soon calmed down. There were 2 officers on the ship, a reserve officer and her partner, and Arceus here. This Linoop made them full of confidence. Several pirates walked over bravely, but before they could scold them, they heard a roar of a beast, and a pair of red pupils in the dark revealed a dangerous look. As the searchlight on the ship shone here, a strange creature appeared on the deck. Its back was green and its belly was white. Its overall structure was similar to that of a western dragon, but it had long hair all over its body. Its front claws were also integrated with its wings, and its hind limbs were huge bird claws. Its thick and long tail was spread horizontally on the deck. Its body length was roughly estimated to be 8 or 9 meters, but it looked very weak now. A huge black arrow pierced its wings, and there was also something similar on its body, which caused it to fall. And there was an iron lock behind the black arrow, and the end of the iron lock was connected to a heavy object. It seemed that someone had made it specifically to capture it. This thing is a Millennium Dragon? Quinn's biological knowledge allowed him to quickly recognize the species of this thing. It was a special creature called a Millennium Dragon. Although it was called a Millennium Dragon, Its appearance was more like a combination of Archaeopteryx and dinosaurs. It was called a Millennium Dragon because it lived long enough. Brother Quinn, what is a Millennium Dragon? It is a legendary creature. It is rumored that the bones of this thing can make people immortal, but it is false. Why did he know? Of course, it was because Mads had studied this rumor. The research on bloodline factors involves all kinds of strange creatures. Although Millennium Dragons are rare, as long as they exist in this world, the world government can always find some clues. The ideal cemetery and birthplace of Millennium Dragons is Dragon Island, hidden under the deep sea of the East China Sea. This island will only surface once every 1,000 years, but not all Millennium Dragons can die here. Millennium Dragons that died or were born outside also exist. Through simple research and experiments, it can naturally be concluded that it is just false news. Moreover, if this is true, then it is estimated that no Millennium Dragon will be seen in the outside world. The people of the world government will not let this creature live outside. No matter how much manpower and material resources are spent, they will hunt this race to collect dragon bones and raise a small number of them in their own hands. The so-called secret of immortality is just a rumor. If the dragon bones of the Millennium Dragon can really make an elixir of immortality, then it is unreasonable for the Millennium Dragon itself to age and die. However, the facts have proved that there are still people who believe in this legend, otherwise they would not hunt the Millennium Dragon. As for how he came to this conclusion, the scars on the Millennium Dragon's body have already explained everything. Only humans or subhumans can use this kind of thing. Quinn is doing popular science work for the people around him, which can be regarded as showing off his knowledge. However, when he talked about some experiments, the injured Millennium Dragon roared at him, which also made its already injured body bleed more. What is this guy doing? Is he trying to kill himself? It's saying, "You bastard, you dare to hurt its own kind. If you dare, come over, it's going to bite you to death." That's probably what it means. Elizabeth's intermittent voice rang in Quinn's ears. As long as she studies for a while, Elizabeth will be able to communicate freely like humans. Adult Millennium Dragons can understand human language, but they can't speak human language, and humans can't understand their oars. However, it is well known that all land creatures other than humans and subhumans in the pirate world speak the same language, which can be seen from Chopper's translation function. Whether it is a camel or a bird, even a special creature like a kung fu manatee, he can understand it. Blue of the Seven Water City and ordinary sea beasts, Chopper can understand their words, but it seems that he can't understand the words of fish. Fish and other animals probably don't use the same language. As for the Sea Kings, only each generation of Sea Kings and the observation Haki that can listen to everything can understand their words. The language of this Millennium Dragon is the same as Elizabeth's language, so Elizabeth acted as the translator. Otherwise, Arceus would be the only one on the ship who could understand what it said. It got it wrong. What I meant was that I studied the materials sent by others. It was the first living Millennium Dragon I had ever seen. Quinn was not explaining to the Millennium Dragon, but to Shaina. Shaina hated the so-called experiments of the world government the most. It was not only the experiments that happened to her and Abel at that time, but also the experiments on other races. She would not approach Quinn's laboratory, and Quinn would not mention such things in front of her, but this time he was a little too proud and broke the tacit understanding between the two. Recently, Shaina has been with Arceus every night, and it seems that she has gained a lot of power. She also has the idea of developing Quinn bowling, which Quinn has to guard against. The great secret treasure of immortality. It seems that Alga did not translate it wrong. I think the direction of the treasure map is the island where this Millennium Dragon lives. Quinn began to change the subject, but the means of change were very rigid and the effect was not obvious. Just when he had a headache, someone helped him, and a cannonball directly hit the hull. The waves splashed around Arceus, soaking the deck next to Arceus. Seeing all this, Quinn's eyes almost glowed. "Lord Arceus, someone dared to disturb your peace. Unforgivable. I'll go and catch them." Quinn turned into a tropical dragon and soared into the sky, rushing in the general direction, leaving the pirates on the ship looking at each other in bewilderment. Does this bastard dare to act more exaggerated? Shaina, you go with him too. I don't think he's very reliable. Yes, Lord Holy Beast, I'll deal with those who fired the cannon. He waved his wings and caught up with Quinn, who flew out in advance, while Arceus walked to the side of the Millennium Dragon. Since this thing has lived for a long time, they may know something about the past. The slate can appear in the stomach of the Seeking, so it is possible that it will appear in the nest of Millennium Dragon. The struggle just now was the last physical strength of the Millennium Dragon, and it was lying on the deck very weakly. Chapter 88, Drops of Life. The ship's doctor, take the contents out of its body. At this point, the beast's pirates have more than one ship's doctor. Although Quinn is still the most skilled doctor in the group, there is only one Quinn. The beast's pirates are not a small pirate group like the Straw Hats, and he cannot handle it all by himself. It is difficult to find a famous doctor, but it is easy to find some ordinary doctors. Their medical skills do not need to be too advanced. They can handle simple colds, fevers, food poisoning and trauma problems. These are the most common situations on the ship. This Master Shenzhou, if you pull it out, it may die immediately. If it is pierced by a sharp weapon, it cannot be pulled out directly. Not to mention these pirates. Even if you watch a few more episodes of TV series, you will know this. The black arrow that pierced its body is as thick as an arm, and there is a huge barb on it. The Millennium Dragon has torn the wound when it struggled in the air, and the wound was already bleeding. Although the amount of bleeding is decreasing now, it is because the blood production speed of its organs can no longer keep up with the bleeding speed. I know. You don't have to worry about other things. Just pull the thing out and prepare to suture the wound. Yes, I understand. He was forced to do something he was not prepared for. He had seen veterinarians forced to treat injuries before, but he was the first doctor who was forced to treat injuries to a Millennium Dragon. Then a bigger problem arose. They couldn't cut the black arrow. There was a huge barb on the arrowhead, and a thick iron chain was connected to the tail of the arrow. If they wanted to pull it out, they had to cut it in half, but they didn't know what the black arrow was made of, so they couldn't leave any trace. In the end, it was the water blade on Elizabeth's tail that cut the black arrow, and then Olga acted as an anesthesiologist. Zorork's illusion ability is not just an ordinary illusion. It has both entities that can deceive the camera's capture and the perception of living things. She gave the Millennium Dragon a false illusion that she would not feel pain. Then the two pirates worked together to pull out the black arrow. The wound was very hideous, and broken internal organs and bone fragments could be seen. Even if he was not a veterinarian, he sentenced the Millennium Dragon to death. Then a ball of water flew out of Arceus' body and hit the Millennium Dragon. Then a wave of water appeared on the deck, and the energy in the water droplets poured into the body of the Millennium Dragon. Not only the Millennium Dragon, but also the small wounds on the pirates within the range, were directly healed under the influence of this wave. Life Drop, a new skill, after obtaining the Water Drop slate. Water skills, a few skills that can restore vitality to other friendly parties, restore vitality, and improve the body's self-healing ability, but this ability has no effect on broken limbs, unless the species already has this ability. The hole left by the black arrow is too big, so it still needs to be sutured. In the eyes of the ship doctor, the necrotic part of the Millennium Dragon's body seemed to have regained vitality. Divine power. The strange power that Babanuki obtained shocked them, but strange power is a kind of ability similar to a way of cultivation, which can be understood as Babanuki's strengthening. This divine power that pulled the Millennium Dragon back from the brink of death is even more powerful, especially for him, who is proficient in medicine. The powerful healing power almost means that they have a slight chance of survival in the future. Don't be stunned, sew up its wound quickly. Imposing this realistic illusion is also more consuming for Olga, which is not only blocking vision, but also pain. Looking at the dazed ship doctor, she urged him, and then he reacted, and began to sew up the wound in a hurry. The Millennium Dragon has no heart scales, which is good news. Otherwise the needles and threads prepared for humans in his medical kit may not be useful. Now, just shave off the excess hair and you can sew the wound. However, this was done by the chef on the ship, because he shaved too slowly, and the hair of the Millennium Dragon was relatively tough, so he was very clumsy when shaving, and was not as flexible as the chef on the ship. With the cooperation of the chef and the doctor, the Millennium Dragon's wound was treated. When Olga's illusion was lifted, the Millennium Dragon had recovered its vitality. Although the wound still hurts, it is acceptable to it. It seems that it has not figured out what happened, and it looks confused at its bald belly. How do you feel? Raw, really? That's good. Have you ever seen something like this? Raw. Next, Arceus and the Millennium Dragon communicated, but no one present, except Elizabeth, could understand what the Millennium Dragon was saying. Elizabeth, what is that dragon saying? It said it's only 200 years old, and it doesn't know a lot of things, but it can take us home and ask its father. Its father has lived for more than 600 years, and it's still thanking it. Olga's illusion did not block some things. It knew that Arceus saved it, but it had never seen the stone tablet that Arceus wanted. It had never left this area since it was born. But its father flew over from other seas, so it should know some news. It felt Arceus' kindness, so it was willing to take him home to have a look. The Millennium Dragon just couldn't speak human language, but it was not a fool. It could see who was the boss on the ship. If it was a human, it might not believe the other party, even if the other party saved it. But Arceus' appearance made him choose to trust him, especially the breath and the more magical power he exuded, which also deepened his trust. It said it was hungry, and asked if we had any food. This was conveyed by Elizabeth. After receiving Arceus' instructions, the chef had a new job. But this time the job was simple, because this Millennium Dragon only needed raw fish. On the other side, Quinn was thanking those who saved him from the sea of suffering with actions, such as using seed machine guns to blast the deck. Bombardment on the sea means declaration of war. Since they have already opened fire, fighting is the only result. What's more, this is a reason why he came here. It would be troublesome if he did nothing. There are countless scattered organizations on the sea. The best way to identify them is to look at the flag, but the logo on the ship in front of Quinn is very special. There is neither the skull flag of the pirates, nor the cross symbol of the world government, nor the seagull flag of the navy on the sail, but a strange scalpel and spherical logo. This pattern was not unfamiliar to Quinn, as they were one of the most notorious groups on the ocean, an organ trafficking assassination gang. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. You don't know where my domineering aura comes from. The Organ Trafficking Assassination Group is a group that is mainly active in the Grand Line. They can be seen in both the Paradise in the first half and the New World in the second half. Even in the Fourth Seas, members of their organization occasionally appear. This is one of the components of the underground world. They are even more notorious than pirates. Pirates still have rules to abide by, and the territory of the Great Pirates also has its own system, but this group of people is completely indiscriminate assassination. As the name suggests, the business of the Organ Trafficking Assassination Group is human organs, and the source of organs is assassination. They will hunt selected targets and sell their organs. If they fall into the hands of human traffickers, they will not die for a while, but this group of people will directly dismember the target. Assassination is to protect the integrity of the organs to the greatest extent. There is a market where there is demand. When those wealthy nobles get sick, they need transplant surgery. Some people will not choose mechanical products, but want human organs. In order to match the right model, this group may hunt countless targets to make their own deals. They will also hunt some powerful people or celebrities whose organs can be sold at a higher price. And it was they who just hunted the Millennium Dragon. The dragon bone is a part of the body of the Millennium Dragon. As an organ trafficking assassination group, hunting the Millennium Dragon is not beyond their business scope, and their purpose is naturally to get more money. Although many people know that the Millennium Dragon's dragon bone can make people immortal is just a rumor, there are also many people who believe it firmly. The temptation of longevity is too great. As a liar, they don't need to be very smart, just need someone to be stupider than them. They like this kind of cute and rich buyers the most. This kind of stupidity is very cute in their eyes. Who is the richest group in this world and often makes stupid mistakes? The answer is the Celestial Dragons. Although there are very few kind people and some capable people in the celestial dragons, there are more people like Charles. In order to have business, the organ trafficking assassination group has enough spies in the underground black market. They know that there are celestial dragons who buy the Millennium Dragon's dragon bones at a very high price. In order to prove that this is the skeleton of the Millennium Dragon, a complete Millennium Dragon must be sent over. This group of people has been tracking these Millennium Dragons for nearly a year, based on various news. They finally succeeded, but saw that the Millennium Dragon fell on the ship of the Beast's pirates. Due to the angle problem, they caught up with the ship of the Beast's pirates from behind, and did not see the flag at all, so they chose to open fire directly. However, even if they saw the flag, they might not stop. This organization has existed for a long time, which has led to some members of the organization being blindly confident. If it develops normally according to the original timeline, this organization would even dare to attack Big Mom and her children at the tea party of Big Mom, as well as those who are in charge of the Dark World. Big Mom's tea party is the most important thing for Charlotte Linlin, and when she holds a tea party, all her children and cadres will basically rush back. Provoking Big Mom at this time means directly declaring war on the entire Big Mom pirates. It is not surprising that such people do reckless things, and now they are paying the price. Seed Machine Gun, Leaf Blade, Leaf Storm. Quinn has already pulled his firepower to the maximum. Due to the transformation, in addition to the position of the mouth, Quinn's tail and mechanical hands, and even the big braid behind his head can also release attacks. Quinn has become an air combat fortress. Mahaha, die, bastards. This is the price to pay for provocation. Under his intensive firepower, there were no living members on the deck. Only sharp blades and countless bullet marks could be seen. Seeing that the cleanup was almost done, Quinn turned into a human beast form and landed directly on the deck and continued to destroy. This time he controlled his mouth and did not say anything he shouldn't say. He had already felt Shaina's gaze behind him. This was an ability he had developed after his slip of the tongue in the plantation, but some resentment could be seen in his movements. Come out for me. What are you bastards hiding for? He did not enter the cabin, but bombarded the deck with energy balls outside. He did not know what the structure of the ship was, and it would be disadvantageous for him to rashly enter a narrow place. It was night, and the speed of the sun flame was slower than that of the day, so he did not use the more powerful sun flame. However, just as he continued to attack indiscriminately, all the lights on the deck suddenly went out. It seemed that he did not destroy the line, but someone deliberately cut off the power supply. Then several strong lights appeared, which seemed to be high power searchlights. One after another, beams of light shot towards Quinn's face, and then there were noisy footsteps. Although we don't know who you are, we will accept your organs. I like liver, but this fat pig may have fatty liver. It doesn't matter. I want his eyes. I hope he is not blinded. He should be able to compensate for our losses this time. Several iron chains were wrapped around Quinn's neck. In the human beast form, Quinn's neck was in the form of a tropical dragon. In their view, this neck was his weakness. The sound of breaking through the air sounded. Even if he couldn't see it, he knew that these people were swinging their knives to chop his neck. Then it was, but the result was not what they expected. Quinn's neck was intact under their slash. How is it possible? This is an attack with domineering power. Domineering? Do you dare to call these two moves domineering? When mentioning this, Quinn seemed to explode, grabbing the two people who attacked him with one hand each. Compared to the domineering power that I have experienced countless hardships, your little thing is nothing. He pushed down with both hands, and the huge weight plus inertia directly pressed their heads under the deck, and then grabbed the chain around their necks, and broke it directly. And are you all idiots? I'm wearing sunglasses. What's the use of this light? Quinn stroked his glasses and smiled disdainfully, looking at those who retreated back to the cabin, and seemed to have a new idea. He took out a purple fruit from his body. This kind of fruit has only one characteristic. It is extremely poisonous. Then the fruit disappeared in Quinn's hand, and there was a green fluctuation in his hand. I don't usually have the chance to use this ability, so let me show you the new plague bomb that was born from the combination of my ability and technology. The grace of nature. Different effects will be produced depending on the fruit carried. Quinn developed this new ability after injecting toxins into the fruit. Chapter 90 Burning Out. Mads will gather together to study the same things, such as bloodline factors. In this regard, Quinn, Judge, and Vegapunk all have their own research directions, but they all revolve around the bloodline factor. In addition, they also have their own research focuses. In addition to human body modification, Quinn is best at studying the application of viruses to weapons. He calls his research results the plague bomb. Depending on the type of virus, the model of the plague bomb is also different, and this model is called vegetative. After injecting the toxin into the fruit, carry it with you, and then release it with the skill of nature's grace as a source. Compared with bullets or shells, the energy attack of nature's grace is more difficult to evade. Vegetative is the combination with the best effect. After he tried it, people affected by his nature's grace will gradually lose control of their bodies while being conscious. If they don't get the antidote, they will fall into a coma after a period of time. After a period of time, they will become real vegetative people. This is the experimental result he obtained from the defeated thorny pirates. And this release method has another advantage. As long as he changes a fruit as a medium, he can quickly make an antidote. The attack of nature's grace quickly spread to the entire ship, and the people in the cabin also noticed something was wrong, and took out their gas masks. They often use large-scale anesthetic gases in their daily activities. The organs of the dead are not as expensive as those of the living. In order to pursue better quality, they usually choose to capture them. If you kill the opponent, you have to quickly take out what you need. First release the anesthetic gas, and then fight. This is their inherent way of action. But nature's grace is not a gas, but a special energy. Even if the gas mask filters the air, their bodies are still exposed to nature's grace. However, within a minute, their bodies began to become stiff, and they fell into the cabin one after another. Quinn was counting down on the deck. After 3 minutes more than the effective time, he walked towards the direction of the cabin, but a black shadow suddenly fell in front of him. "Hey, what are you doing? You're a fish that slipped through the net. I see your armament haki seems to be quite solid, but your observation haki is still a little bit off." The black shadow was thrown down by Shaina, and he was also a member of the organ trafficking assassination group. Just now, he hid in the watchtower when he saw that the situation was not good. Quinn's nature's grace was aimed at the cabin below, so he ignored that corner. Nature's grace is not a gas, and it will not float up for no reason. But he dodged Quinn, but not Shaina. You said it lightly. At this time, Quinn's armament haki was stronger than observation haki, which was related to his training method. Whether it was armament haki or observation haki, the best way to practice was to break through in battle. The other way was to get beaten, but even if they were both beaten, the way armament haki was beaten was different from the way observation haki was beaten. The practice of armament haki cannot be avoided, and one must improve one's own defense, while observation haki is to predict the opponent's attack and avoid the upcoming attack. But some of Quinn's sparring partners were supermodels, which made it difficult for him to dodge their attacks. Over time, in order to avoid turning into a bull, he had to practice more armament haki, which eventually led to this result. But why are you here? The Holy Beast Master was afraid that you would fail, so he asked me to come and take a look. Let's go back after it's over. Wait, don't be anxious. There should be a lot of spoils on these guys' ships. It would be a pity if we don't have them. Quinn was about to go and search for spoils, but he came up again not long after he went down. Well, there's something I should show you. I'm not interested in this kind of thing. Hurry up. No, it's hard to say about this thing. You should come down and take a look yourself. At Quinn's repeated insistence, Shaina followed him down. The environment inside the cabin of this ship was still very good. It could be seen that the sanitation was very clean, and there was a smell of disinfectant. In several cabins, there were large petri dishes with organ-like objects soaked in unknown liquids. These were the warehouses of the organ trafficking assassination group, and their products were stored in them. The lower level was the bloodier slaughterhouse and prison, but Quinn had no intention of continuing. Instead, he pointed to the wall in front, where a pair of black wing-like specimens were hung. That's it. If I'm not mistaken, it should be. Quinn took 2 steps back before he finished speaking. He was one of the top 3 people who knew Shaina best. As for the degree of Shaina's anger, he was not bragging. He dared to say that Arceus didn't know him. Now Shaina looked like she was on the verge of a rage, but she was forcing herself to endure it. Find me a living person and detoxify him. I have something to ask. Black wing specimens were not common. Shaina didn't know who the owner of the pair of wings was, but she could see that they were from the same race. Quinn could recognize them because he knew the true race of Shaina and Jin. I also helped them treat their wounds, so I know some of the characteristics of the Lunaria tribe, so I recognize them. The wings of the Lunaria tribe are part of the limbs, and the wings here mean a blood debt. Quinn didn't want to describe what happened afterwards. He found that women were much more terrible when they went crazy than men. He called Jin a pervert who liked to torture, but compared with Shaina just now, Jin's torture was simply the behavior of a good baby. There was nothing special to gain. The pair of wings was something they got decades ago. They just thought it looked good, so they put it on the ship as a decoration. There is also a pair of wings like this in the base in the New World, and the source is the auction of the world government. Although they are an organ trafficking assassination group, they also have their own transactions with the world government. The source of this pair of wings is the limbs left after the death of some Lunaria people, which were used and sold by some officials of the world government. In the end, the pair of wings was burned by Shaina with the flames of the Lunaria tribe. Their funeral method was cremation, and only their own flames could completely burn them. In order to hunt the Millennium Dragon, there were no people on the ship other than the organ trafficking assassination group. They just stored some goods, because they might meet customers at any time. This was for the purpose of selling, and it also facilitated Shaina's future work. The hot flames gathered at the mouth, and the bursting flames spewed out, burning out. The whole ship was incinerated in the flames, including the members of the organ trafficking assassination group on the ship. Chapter 91 Sky Island. I'll take note of this grudge against the organ trafficking assassination group. Mary Joa had been hostile for a long time, but now there was one more. There were no survivors on the ship. She forced information about the pair of wings, which increased the possibility of being exposed. Silencing them was the only option, not to mention that these were all members of the organ trafficking assassination group. This was a group that was even more disgusting than pirates. Quinn, thank you for this time. After saying this, Quinn's sunglasses almost fell into the sea. He thought he should get a cochlear implant. You still say thank you. This was not accurate. To be precise, it was Shaina who said this to him. That was the most outrageous. However, Shaina's next words proved that she was still the same person, and there was no change at all. Don't get me wrong, I still hate you so-called researchers, but one thing is one thing. You can mention this matter next time I can't help but beat you up. Speaking of the matter, Quinn reminded her that the pair of wings was indeed worth a thank you, but it was impossible for her to change her attitude because of this. No need to fight the gold medal? No, but I will consider going easy. Quinn and Shaina returned to the original ship. They handled their affairs very cleanly. After all, the entire ship was burnt to ashes. I'm afraid that only the microorganisms in the ocean can find what they need from it. How can this physical level of erasure not be handled cleanly? Lord Holy Beast, there may be more than one ship chasing the Millennium Dragon, but we have not found any traces of them in the nearby sea. This is also the information obtained earlier. There are 3 ships chasing the Millennium Dragon. The remaining 2 ships are chasing other Millennium Dragons. However, she and Quinn circled the nearby sea area and did not see any traces of any ships chasing. How do they do it? Millennium Dragons can fly. If this Millennium Dragon was not injured, it would be impossible to catch up with it by wind-powered sailboats. It is impossible for all Millennium Dragons to be injured. As long as they maintain a good altitude, ordinary artillery cannot hurt them. We don't know that either. But Lord Holy Beast, where are we going next? To the Millennium Dragon's home. It will show us the way. The injured Millennium Dragon stood on the bow, flapping its wings in the direction of the moonlight. Midnight swings cut through the clouds. The moonlight guides the final direction. This was the sentence Olga had translated earlier. Now it seems that the moonlight really guides the direction of the Millennium Dragon's home. The clouds in the sky began to close. The moonlight trail gradually disappeared, and the ship of the beasts also followed the guidance of the Millennium Dragon and sailed forward. However, until they reached the end of the moonlight, there was no island in front of them. Nothing. Could this dragon have pointed the wrong way? No, it just said that it has arrived. Their residence is right above our heads. Elizabeth translated the words of the Millennium Dragon, and at the same time, looked up with some disbelief. Above our heads, Sky Island? Sky Island, one of the specialties of the pirate world, is a general term for islands in the sky, not a single island. Whether it is a paradise in the first half or the new world in the second half, there are sky islands. For the pirates and people in the new world, the sky island is not too unfamiliar. It is not, because there are more sky islands in the new world, but because the Golden Lion has created some floating islands, but the height is not as high as that of natural islands. Although it is man-made, it is also part of the Sky Island, and the so-called midnight wings cut through the clouds, and the moonlight guides the final direction, also has a more detailed answer. This group of Millennium Dragons live on the Sky Island here, and their main source of food is skyfish. The so-called skyfish refers to the fish living in the White Sea and the sky. There are many kinds of clouds here, including iron clouds that are as hard as iron, rope clouds that can be used as ropes, swamp clouds like swamps, and the most common sea clouds. The special sea composed of sea clouds is called the White Sea. These clouds are like sea water, ships can sail on them, and special fish also live in them. The height of the Sky Island is not uniform. The highest Sky Island is generally located in the White Sea at an altitude of 10,000 meters, and the lower ones are several thousand meters. There are two ways to get to the Sky Island. One is to find their secret passage and climb up the stairs formed by the sea clouds. The other is to look for the sky current. The Sky Island, where these 1,000-year-old dragons live, is one of the lower Sky Islands, but from below, you can't see the changes on it. The so-called wings breaking through the clouds on the treasure map means that when the 1,000-year-old dragons hunt skyfish, their wings will temporarily create a gap in the sea clouds, allowing the moonlight to penetrate the sea clouds and shine on the sea surface, and the end point is just below the Sky Island. However, this 1,000-year-old dragon made a mistake. The road it led was not wrong, but this was the way home for the 1,000-year-old dragons, not the landing place for human ships. If the 1,000-year-old dragons want to go up, they just need to flap their wings, but it is not so easy for human ships. The sky current and the Sky Island are not bound. There are sky currents near the Sky Islands in some areas, but other Sky Islands may not have such currents. In other words, although the ship of the beasts is now below the place where the 1,000-year-old dragons live, the only way to get up is to fly. Bosses. Something seems to be falling from the sky. The lookout on the ship shouted down. The moonlight began to disappear. With the remaining moonlight, he could only barely see a few shadows, and could not see more things. The shadows fell very quickly, and soon there was a series of sounds of falling into the water. Not only human corpses, but also the corpses of the Millennium Dragon and the fragments of the hull fell. It seemed that some unknown battle was taking place on the ship. The Millennium Dragon on the ship seemed to go crazy after seeing the dragon corpse. Regardless of the wound that had just been sutured on its body, it flapped its wings and flew into the sky. Master Holy Beast, what should we do now? Of course we go up. Let everyone hold on to the things around them and fix themselves. Arceus stomped his feet and a stream of energy was transmitted into the sea through the hull. Soon, the sea seemed to boil. When the members of the 100 Beasts had just fixed themselves, a current rushed out of the ocean and flew into the sky with the ship of the 100 Beasts pirates. There was no sky-high current here, so he created one himself. The water-dripping slate has the power to manipulate water flow, and the surging ocean current created by Arceus carried the ship into the sky. Chapter 92, Fear of Insufficient Firepower. Above the clouds, on an unknown sky island, some people are hunting some Millennium Dragons. Many small boats are put into the sea from two large ships, and the people on them carry special harpoons and rush towards the Millennium Dragons. There are individual differences between races, and the same is true for Millennium Dragons. The Millennium Dragons living in the East China Sea are least likely to encounter danger, and the prey they prey on is also weaker, which leads to their overall lower strength. But this is a new world, and the dangerous climate forces the creatures here to evolve stronger, so that they can adapt to the changeable weather in the new world. The climate here affects not only King Hay, but also the White Sea and the sky. Even if these Millennium Dragons live in the sky, their strength is much stronger than their counterparts living in the East China Sea. Although they don't have any special abilities, their speed, strength, and physical strength are much stronger than their compatriots living in the East China Sea. This adds difficulty to these people's hunting operations. Originally, their goal was to capture these Millennium Dragons alive. Living Millennium Dragons must be more valuable than dead ones, but Millennium Dragons will not surrender. Even the big white goose at the door can chase people around, not to mention these creatures with dragons in their names. Millennium Dragons usually scatter in various seas in the form of small tribes. Only when the Dragon Island emerges from the sea once every 1,000 years will the Millennium Dragons from all over the world gather together. There are not many Millennium Dragons here, only a dozen scattered here and there, and several of them are young Millennium Dragons. With wings, they have the advantage of flying, and they should be able to escape from here, but the reality is very complicated. The people of the organ trafficking assassination group captured several Millennium Dragons to anger them and make them choose to fight instead of running away. In addition, the Millennium Dragons have a strong sense of territory. Facing these invaders, they did not choose to flee directly, but fought for their homes. The bodies of the Millennium Dragons that fell into King Hay and the broken ships are proof of the battle. These guys are really stupid. If they just run away, the loss will be less. After all, it's just a wild beast. Even if it's called a Millennium Dragon, it's just a rare beast. And isn't this good? Of course it's good, but if it's like this, a lot of preparations will be wasted. Don't worry about it. Send people down to salvage the bodies. The sea cloud here is too thin. Those bodies actually fell directly back down. The dead people are nothing to him. The most lacking thing in the new world is manpower, but if the bodies of the Millennium Dragons are lost, the loss will be great. It has been sent out a long time ago. Don't worry. At this time, a Millennium Dragon suddenly rushed out from under the sea cloud and overturned a small boat they sent out. The Millennium Dragons here feed on airfish. They have the ability to move in the sea cloud for a short time. The long hair on their body will not be soaked when entering the sea cloud. Instead, they will be closely connected to form a special membrane to intercept moisture outside and reduce resistance. Looking at the Millennium Dragon rushing out, the eyes of the people on the boat are all symbols of wealth. After hype, a piece of dragon bone can be sold at a sky-high price. If it doesn't work after people eat it, it must be because you are using it in the wrong way, and it's definitely not the dragon bones. Moreover, dragon bones can be sold at a sky-high price, not to mention dragon blood and dragon meat. This group is best at selling organs, and a 1,000-year-old dragon is a treasure trove for them. You guys, go and catch it. There are other 1,000-year-old dragons coming out to die. Several small boats approached, but before they could take action, a sea current broke through the sea clouds and rushed up. Another ship was also washed up by the waves, but it was just the salvage ship they sent out earlier. The way they went down was very special. First, they released the coating prepared on the ship to dive, and then opened the giant parachute after the ship broke through the sea clouds, so as to achieve a safe landing. However, when they were halfway down, they encountered Arceus, who was manipulating the sky-high sea current. Little guys, let these guys know how powerful we are. There was no need to explain this situation. It was obvious that they were on the same front with those 1,000-year-old dragons. Since the enemy was clear, there was no need for a reason to start a war. Arceus was right behind them. Babanuki's experience was still vivid in their minds. They were all ordinary members, but because of a strange power technique, Babanuki had been promoted to a small cadre. Who doesn't want a higher status and powerful ability? Maybe they will get a bad one in the lottery, but if Arceus is happy, maybe they can get stronger power directly. Although their goal was to find treasure, they brought all the swords, guns, and cannons they should bring. After the order to start the war was issued, they showed absolute suppression in firepower. Although there was only one ship, the range of their artillery was nearly 1/3 farther than that of the opposite side. On the sea, artillery battles are always an indispensable part, whether it is the navy or pirates. After all, there are only a few people who can use manpower to make more destructive power than cannons. And for most people, the deterrent power of artillery shells is stronger than manpower. Since the last battle with Walder, there was a shortage of artillery shells and they could only force a boarding battle. Some members of the beasts seemed to suffer from a phobia of insufficient firepower, and they filled the ammunition depot every time they set sail. Fuck, where did this group of pirates come from? The sudden bombardment made the organ trafficking assassination group members look confused. Although they had many enemies, their operation was very secretive this time, and it took a lot of time to find the ladder to reach this sky island. How could they be attacked here for no reason? And there was a worse situation, because the main goal was to hunt the Millennium Dragon and to capture it alive. They mainly carried harpoons, nets and strong anesthetics, and the number of shells was only half of the usual number, and they consumed a lot on the way. Although it was not the same opponent, for the members of the beasts, the polar reversal still occurred. They did prepare a lot of backups, but all of them were prepared for the Millennium Dragon. The sudden attack of the beast's pirates disrupted all their arrangements. Moreover, their personnel were extremely scattered now, and they could not form an effective counterattack for a while. The trouble was not just that. The Millennium Dragon, that was rescued by Arceus earlier, roared loudly, and its roar was heard by other Millennium Dragons in the gap between the shells. The meaning is simple: these are our own people and they are here to help us. Chapter 93, The Great Bird and the Two Who Prepare Surprises for Each Other. With the intervention of the beasts, the battle became very difficult. The physical constitution of these Millennium Dragons was much stronger than that of humans. Only the harpoons fired by the heavy launchers on the main ship could penetrate their bodies. The heavy launchers, that looked like artillery, were immediately devastated. The shells were not so accurate, but sniping could. The more sophisticated things are, the more precious they are, and the more stringent the requirements for the conditions of use are. Although those heavy launchers are not so difficult to withstand the wind and waves, they obviously lost their ability to fire after several holes were pierced in the firing chamber. They didn't know where they would hit with such launchers, and the root of everything was Elizabeth's precise sniping. The silent water bullets were silent assassination machines on such a battlefield. There were no prisoners in this battle, which lasted until all the enemies were eliminated. Millennium Dragons are not humans. Although this kind of creature will not actively attack humans, it will not show mercy to humans who invade their homes and harm their own kind. Several thousand-year-old dragons were dyed red, with both dragon blood and human blood. Of course, the one who was really crazy was Shaina, which was the sequel of trauma she and Jin left behind. Normally, both of them were normal people, but once they entered the emotional venting period, they would become very extreme. Jin's way of venting was torture, while Shaina's way of venting was killing. Usually, beating Quinn was at most a suppressant, and the previous pair of wings brought out the things she usually suppressed, so she had no control when she attacked. The residents in the beast territory thought Shaina was a good person, because she never imposed her tyrannical side on her own people. Well, Quinn was an exception. Her clothes were mostly red or black, which could cover up the blood to the greatest extent. However, this time her clothes were useless. They were constantly stained with the enemy's blood during the battle, and then dried by her own flames. This set of clothes was on the verge of being scrapped. Now in the territory of the beast pirates, there are three most valued professions. One is the technician of the military industry. The things on the main island not only supplement their own combat power, but also are the main trading items. The remaining two are a doctor and a tailor. Their cadres are all animal type ability users, so they have a rigid demand for stretchable clothing. Even Kaido is no exception, which makes excellent tailors very popular. Why? Who are you? Why are you attacking us? Why are you helping those beasts? There will always be some people who are out of touch with the news. Except for Rocks more than a decade ago and Roger later, no pirate has ever been known to everyone. Even the current Whitebird and Golden Lion, some people in some places don't know them at all. Shaina is still a long way from being known to everyone. There are also such people who don't like to read newspapers in the organ trafficking assassination group. Beast. Compared to them, you are probably not as good as beasts in what you do except for the human skin on the outside. With another coke in his hand, after the high-end combat power and long-range firepower were crushed, the outcome of the battle was not suspenseful at all. These people will only become garbage on Sky Island, and will be sent back to King Hay by the current of the White Sea as time goes by. The loss of the Millennium Dragon is not small. 7 Millennium Dragons died in the battle, and the remaining adult dragons were also injured. This was the result of the other party trying their best to capture them alive, but under their desperate resistance, the strong anesthetic was difficult to take effect. In order to survive, those people had no choice but to kill them. 7 may not seem like a lot, but there are only 27 in this group of Millennium Dragons. They had captured a few before, and only a dozen fought, after excluding the young dragons. The loss of nearly a quarter can be said to be a heavy casualty. Raw, Elizabeth, what are they talking about again? Thank you and apologize. The leader of the Millennium Dragon has not seen the things of the Holy Beast, but it said that it can ask its own tribe on the Day of Return. The Day of Return is a day when the Millennium Dragons gather once 1,000 years. On that day, all the Millennium Dragons will gather on the mysterious island in the East China Sea. There will be less than 30 years before the next gathering. The leader of the Millennium Dragon believes that there will always be people of the same tribe who have seen these things. You said you want to move. Raw, that's right. This place has been discovered. It's time to move to another place. Do you want to go to our place? God knows where these Millennium Dragons will move to, and no one knows what they will encounter. The gathering day is only one day. If you miss that day, you will have to wait another 1,000 years for the Millennium Dragons to gather together again. And the reason why they are called Millennium Dragons is that the island will only float up once in 1,000 years. Due to individual differences, some Millennium Dragons may be short-lived and die after a few hundred years. In order to prevent accidents, it is best to lure these Millennium Dragons back. There are still 20 Millennium Dragons left, or to be exact, 20 and 3 eggs. The leader is even bigger, with a body length of more than 10 meters. They are enough to build a small air force. As for whether the Millennium Dragon will cause trouble, it will not. Just change their appearance. Arceus discussed with the leader of the Millennium Dragon for a while, and the little Millennium Dragon that was rescued before also came to assist. Its father is this leader, and coupled with the difference in strength, the leader of the Millennium Dragon agreed to Arceus' request. It saw how Arceus manipulated the ocean currents. The beast's pirates will shelter these Millennium Dragons in the future. They will provide assistance to the beasts as air cavalry, and help him collect information on the day of the gathering more than 20 years later. Transforming animals is less labor intensive than transforming humans, and the appearance of these Millennium Dragons does not even need to be changed too much. The power in their bodies is used to change the genes in their bodies, and a new form appears in all Millennium Dragons, the Great Bird. For the Millennium Dragons, this appearance is also easy to accept. Compared with the original body, the form of the Great Bird is equivalent to shaving the hair and dyeing the hair. The young Millennium Dragons like this new look very much. The older Millennium Dragons think this is not good, but for the safety of the tribe, they still change their form. Like the Lunaria tribe, they also plan to hide their true appearance as much as possible. There is no place for them on the ship, but it doesn't matter, because the Great Bird itself can fly. Kaido not only likes animal type ability users, but also has a preference for some animals. Arceus thinks that Kaido will be excited for a while when he sees these Millennium Dragons, which can be regarded as a small surprise for his partners. But at the same time, Kaido has the same idea as Arceus. He just handed half of the banana to Big Mom's people, and in return he got a heavy stone slab. He tried it, and it couldn't be broken with a stick. It should be what Arceus wanted. He should be very happy. X2. Chapter 94. Lightning, fruit, and water splashing. Although the small radar in his hand reacted to the slate brought by Big Mom, he wanted to confirm it again. Although it was unlikely, what if Quinn's work was broken? The simpler the method, the more direct it is. Compared with the complicated technology, testing the hardness is a good choice. Arceus and his men went out to hunt for treasure. Treasure hunting is also one of the important pirate activities for pirates. Kaido ordered his men to plan a new banquet. In a non-combat environment, the biggest extra expense of a pirate group is the consumption of the banquet. However, no matter which pirate group retains this link, it is just that it varies according to the financial resources and customs of the pirate group. It is normal to open it for several days in a row. Except for the pirates on duty, most pirates will choose to drink to their heart's content. Brother Kaido. Brother Arceus' ship is back, and brought back a group of strange big birds. Big birds On the main island, Kaido received the news that Arceus had returned, but what they brought back was unexpected. When Kaido came to the port, he looked at the big birds mentioned by his men circling in the sky, and his eyes lit up with interest. What are those? They are Millennium Dragons. The destination of this treasure hunt is their homeland. We have reached some cooperation. These Millennium Dragons will live here in the future. We will protect their safety, and the adult dragons among them will serve as partners of the air cavalry. Air cavalry, Air Force. Ugh, it is indeed the right decision to cooperate with you. After thinking for a while, Kaido began to laugh wildly. With these Millennium Dragons, it means that the beasts can also form an air force. There is no problem with 4 or 5 people sitting behind those adult Millennium Dragons. Although there are only a dozen adult Millennium Dragons, it is enough as a surprise force. Except for the Golden Lion, no pirate group can currently carry out large-scale air combat. By the way, I also found something good. I can already feel the breath of the stone tablet. TSK, boring. I forgot that you can sense the breath of your own things. Kaido thought this was a surprise, but the problem came. Arceus sensed his stone tablet within a certain distance, which means that after the stone tablet was brought back, it could not be hidden from Arceus at all. The result did not change, but it always felt like something was missing, but it was not a big problem. The beast's pirates still entered the familiar banquet. There was also a group of Millennium Dragons at the banquet this time. The pirates of the beasts were very enthusiastic about these Millennium Dragons. Kaido had already talked about the plan to form an air cavalry. Flying is one of the dreams of mankind. Even if you can't fly, it would be great to be able to fly on something else, but there are only so many adult Millennium Dragons, and the air cavalry can only be composed of a few elite troops. At that time, the compatibility with the Millennium Dragons will inevitably affect the selection of air cavalry. Smart people have already started to build good relationships with these Millennium Dragons. However, in order to reduce trouble, from now on, the code name of these Millennium Dragons will become the Ancestral Bird, and all those who know the situation are asked to keep their mouths shut and not talk nonsense outside. Those who were picked up by Shaina on the boat were all members of the cult of Arceus. Their loyalty has been tested, so this requirement is nothing. And Arceus also took back his 5th stone tablet, the Lightning Stone Tablet. The sky above the island seemed to resound with thunder at that moment, and the power of thunder and lightning returned to Arceus' control. Lightning is regarded as a disaster from heaven. Compared with fire, lightning is more like a natural disaster. Then came the popular lottery. When his dart hit a blue word jump, the pirates below stopped making noises. What do you think this guy's ability is? I don't know. Babanuki's strange power is so easy to use. Can this word make him jump very high? Who knows? Babanuki took 3 days. How long do you think it will take him? 2 days. Impossible. At least 4 days. He is far worse than Babanuki. A pirate even opened a handicap on this issue, betting on how long it would take the lucky guy to learn the skill. In the end, he also used 3 days to tie Babanuki's record. He came out like Babanuki did at the beginning, and also started to eat and drink a lot. However, when other pirates asked him to show his ability, he didn't seem as excited as Babanuki. At the urging of everyone, he walked to the seaside, then rushed to the sea surface with 1 step, and then he jumped on the sea surface. Yes, jumped. The water surface became something that he could use as leverage, just like the land. The skill represented by the blue word jump is water splash jump. Water splash jump, a strange skill with no other form of expression except jumping, but when humans learned water splash jump, they got some strange enhancements. The jumping power of the legs was enhanced, the height and distance of the jump were far beyond the past, and they had the ability to jump on the water surface. Skill extraction depends entirely on luck. There is no shady deal here, so he can't say anything about getting the skill, but he just feels a little confused. Is there a future for water splash jump? The answer is yes. In this world dominated by water, being able to jump on the water surface will definitely greatly enhance flexibility and allow him to move freely on the water surface. But it is not as intuitive as the increase brought by the strange power technique, and it still has its meaning after all. A group of people brainstormed and thought about where his water splash jump could be used, while Quinn recruited a group of local residents to make dried bananas. The bananas of tropical dragons can be stored for a longer time. Even if the bananas he cultivated inherited this characteristic, there is a limit. Ripe bananas can last for half a month without rotting. If the raw bananas are picked and properly stored, they can be stored for about 2 months. But this is already the limit. As for bananas, this time is exaggerated, but it is still a lot worse than the speed of consumption. Now Quinn is making the ripe bananas into freeze-dried bananas for preservation. At the same time, he is also cultivating new seedlings. After all, the 5th stone tablet was traded with the bananas he cultivated. Seeing that he paid a lot of inventory, Arceus gave him some compensation. He also modified the seeds of other fruits, and provided Quinn with a batch of tree fruit seeds, pomelo fruit, peach fruit, and mango fruit. However, this batch of tree fruit seeds only retained the taste, but not the castrated version of the original effect. The complete version of the tree fruit is no longer just a fruit, but something that can be cultivated as a strategic resource. Chapter 95 Prelude. Big Mom's behavior reminded Arceus that tree fruits can also be sold at high prices. The tree fruits cultivated by Quinn can be said to be second generation tree fruits. Even if they do not have the effect of removing abnormal effects and restoring physical strength, their nutritional content and taste are far superior to ordinary fruits. Fruits are an indispensable part of the voyage, and the resources of this world are in the hands of a few people. Tree fruits can also generate income. The most critical thing is Big Mom's channels. She has a wide range of friends in the underground world. Big Mom attaches great importance to sweets, and has the problem of bulimia. Anything she has eaten may cause bulimia. The fruits exported are 3rd generation tree fruits. As long as they are slightly improved, the 3rd generation tree fruits will lose their breeding ability. At that time, the tree fruit resources will be firmly in the hands of the beast pirates. Kaido's strength is still on the rise, and so is the development of the beasts. By then, even the Big Mom pirates will not be able to deal with the beasts pirates. Big Mom cannot care about some things, but her children cannot. In order to prevent Big Mom from not being able to find the fruits or desserts she needs, when she has an attack of bulimia, they must maintain a stable trade with the beasts, and it will be easy to use the channels in her hands. Kaido can also make a fortune through middleman behavior. Kaido gets power, Big Mom gets food, and Arceus uses the channels. Everyone gets what they need, and can get what they want. Although the value of these things is not the same, they have different meanings for the 3 people. At night, bonfires can still be seen on the beach. That is the end of the pirates' banquet. Most of the pirates are drunk. Those who have obtained the ability to splash water are jumping around on the sea and acting crazy. Several people who have a good relationship are desperately rowing after him, worried that he will dive into the sea and drown himself. Quinn was in the laboratory cultivating his new crops. He also tried grafting to get some strange fruits. Arceus was fusing new slates to recover more power. Kaido was gone. No one knew where he would go when he got drunk. Although Arceus always said that he was a hindrance to his work, he had just found a slate through a channel. So it was not appropriate to say that he was a hindrance to his work. Jin had just come back. He went to deal with a small problem. Now they have their own territory. The pirates in the new world collect taxes from a territory and are also responsible for the security of this territory. Another group of newcomers just passed through Fishman Island. Jin went to deal with such a group of bold newcomers. Although he missed the banquet, it didn't matter to him. Is the matter settled? Shaina's voice came from the side. In order to facilitate their daily life, Kaido specially reserved a place on the island for Shaina and Jin. Except for a few cadres, any members of the pirate group and ordinary residents were strictly prohibited from entering here without orders. This was also for their sake. Shaina would occasionally remove her human beast form, and Jin would occasionally take off her mask. He and Shaina could be said to be dead in the light, and anyone who saw their true appearance would be killed. Well, just a few newcomers who don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Although they were not very old, those pirates who had just entered the new world were indeed just newcomers to Jin. Shaina knew that Jin had just returned, and because of the banquet, the chef had already rested, so she brought some midnight snacks to Jin. Flying fish sashimi, Jin's favorite food. This thing can be done even without a chef, because she was in charge of the kitchen when she first went out to sea. Slicing fresh flying fish is a very simple thing. What about you? Did the Holy Beast Master find what you want? No, but it's a little progress. But now there are other things. As she said that, she handed Jin a stack of documents, all of which were about the information of the organ trafficking assassination group. What is this? We met the people of the organ trafficking assassination group before, and I found the wings of my tribe on their ship. Shaina roughly talked about what happened before, as well as the information she pried out from the other party. There should be another pair of wings in their headquarters. The relics of the tribe are not their crafts. Do you have a plan? He was familiar with Shaina's personality. Since she mentioned this to him, it was likely that she had already planned it. No need for a plan. Just destroy that kind of person. Lord Holy Beast. Shaina's plan was rejected by Arceus before she even said it. I said that this debt will be recovered little by little, and my deal with Millennium Dragon also includes this part. Originally, she wanted to carry out an assassination operation with Jin, eliminate the leader and recover the relics of the tribe, but now the plan has changed. Assassination is still assassination, but the method of action is completely different. As we all know, the purpose of assassination is to kill the target without anyone knowing. So as long as all the witnesses are eliminated, this matter will be unknown to anyone. So this is also an assassination. Lord Holy Beast, won't this affect your plan? Of course not, and this is what I promised. What I promised must be done, and I see that some people are itching to do it. Don't you agree, Kaido? Arceus' words about Kaido made Jin and Shaina stunned for a moment, and then Shaina seemed to remember something, so she ran to the back of the house, where she dug a wine cellar, and brewed some wine according to the tradition of the Lunaria tribe. This kind of wine is called fire wine by the Lunaria tribe, because its only characteristic is that it is strong. The consumption of alcohol and water in the Beast Pirates has always been the largest, and the inventory will be used up at every banquet. Kaido's physique has basically no upper limit to drinking. He hasn't drunk enough for a while, so after drinking up the inventory, he went to other places to find alcohol. When they came here, they saw Kaido in the wine cellar. Although Kaido was drunk, he could still hear what Arceus said. It seems like I haven't done anything for a while. Anyway, there's nothing to do, so I'll just do it. He is a pirate, and he doesn't need a reason for many things. He does it just because he wants to, but it looks like we have to wait for 2 more days. Kaido's mood after drinking is very uncontrollable. He may cry, laugh, get angry, or fall asleep. A few months ago, the wood purchased by Jin has been processed into the hull, and the main ship of the Beast Pirates is about to sail for the first time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 King of Beasts. In the world of pirates, shipbuilding is a pillar industry. The vast 4 seas and the dangerous great routes all need ships to pass. As for the repair of bridges, the world government has been repairing for so many years, and the kingdom on the bridge has not been completed. The developed shipbuilding industry allows shipbuilders to be found in many places, especially in the New World. Excellent shipbuilders are popular under the hands of various forces. The changeable sea climate makes the probability of damage to ships extremely high. Almost all islands near the main routes have the ability to repair ships, and each pirate's territory also has the ability to build ships. Due to the search for stone slabs, the Beast Pirates have a high demand for ships. Kaido can fly around, but other people still need ships for their physical strength. After several months, the main ship of the Beast Pirates, the Beast King, was completed. When Wald came to this island, he wanted to use the island's craftsmanship to cast a giant cannon, so the firepower of this ship was basically saturated, and the power of the shipborne artillery was not inferior to any main battleship of the navy. Today, the King of Beasts also ushered in his maiden voyage. The ship is fully loaded with 650 people. Except for the chef and doctor, the positions of the sailors and combatants are the same. The next morning, the new combat order was issued, and the people on the island began to prepare supplies and prepare for the expedition. The battles between pirates are usually very frequent. In order to prevent the residents of the island from resisting the external wars of the beasts, they formulated a peculiar system. The residents who provide supplies also have the right to share part of the spoils after the victory of the battle. No matter how good the empty words are, they are not as good as the real benefits. In this case, although they don't want to go out to sea to join the pirates, they will not resist the external wars of the beasts. This is similar to an investment. If you lose, you will naturally have nothing. However, at present, the external wars of the beasts are more victorious than defeated, so the residents in the territory are still more supportive of this. The old people on this island have experienced many times, and the owner of this island has changed several times. So far, the beasts are the pirate group with the highest quality of life here. The cruelty of the new world is far beyond other seas. Without the protection of a strong backer, this island will inevitably become a lawless place. Whether it is pirates or human traffickers, or even the world government, they will regard it as their own sheepfold, and the residents inside are nothing more than livestock. The celestial dragons are the gods of the world. Countries and islands that do not join the world government do not enjoy any rights. The high price of celestial gold is to distinguish the levels. The world government is deliberately creating inferior creatures to improve the satisfaction of member countries by despising people from countries that have not joined the world government. It is the indulgence of the world government that has given birth to powerful pirates, and with the accumulation of time, the living environment of the new world has been formed. 3 days later, everything was ready for the Beast King, but there were only 200 crew members, not fully loaded, led by Arceus and Kaido, and accompanied by the two highest Carter's Shaina engine. Even if the ship was not fully loaded, its combat power should not be underestimated. At the same time, the Millennium Dragons also boarded the ship. When they heard that this organization was the one who attacked them before, the head of the Millennium Dragon took the initiative to ask to participate in this battle. Kaido didn't need to board this ship, but he himself is not a person who can sit idle. Most of the time he is not in the territory, but wandering around, helping Arceus search for the whereabouts of the stone tablet, while doing his own things. Recently, there is another piece of information that he was captured by other pirates and escaped unscathed. Arceus doesn't know where Morgan's got the news from. According to the answers of the parties involved, the information in the newspaper is basically true, but there is a certain literary processing. In addition, this is the first voyage of the main ship. As the current governor of the Beast Pirates, Kaido naturally has to sail together. Yes, as the beasts grow stronger, his own identity has been clearly identified as the governor, and the other is the position of the chief executive of Jin. Although Shaina is not a chief executive, she is at the same level as the chief executive. The sea breeze blew up the mainsail of the ship, and the Beast King also began its first voyage. A certain island in the New World is the headquarters of the organ trafficking assassination group in the New World. Although the name is called the Organ Trafficking Assassination Group, they actually do a lot of business. However, organ trafficking is their main business, but assassination, mercenary and other similar businesses are also within their service scope. They are more like a group of illegal bounty hunters. This is not quite right. From a humanitarian and legal point of view, they are indeed an illegal organization. But from the perspective of the world government, they are not an illegal organization, because this organization has not been wanted by a bounty at all. Through some secret connections with the world government, they are legal on the surface. The organ trafficking assassination group does a lot of business, but it does not engage in human trafficking, because they have always only sold organs, not living people. There are many people imprisoned in the underground prison of the headquarters, and they are also given scientific meals, and forced to exercise every day. No matter how good the culture dishes, it is not as good as the human body. In their eyes, these people are just living containers. Once a business with a suitable match appears, they will be killed, and their organs will be taken out. Although the blood types here are more complicated, people's physiques are also stronger, which makes organ matching simpler. Their business network has connections all over the world, which leads to people dying here every day. In a seemingly neat office, a man in a suit was chewing gum. No one would have thought that he was the leader of this notorious organization. Manager, isn't the price we pay for doing this too high? Manager is the self-proclaimed name of the leader of the organ trafficking assassination group. He thinks he is a serious businessman, so he asks his subordinates to call him that. In order to get in touch with the celestial dragons, he used all the favors he could. If there is no gain, it will be a big loss for them. Don't be impatient, Kokadin. This is a big business, and it is worth waiting. The transportation on the sea is not too convenient. It takes more than 10 days to go out. It is also expected that it will take a long time to hunt the legendary creature like the Millennium Dragon. Have you found a buyer for the new product? Yes, it's a king from the West Sea. His son has been sickly since childhood and has always wanted to replace a stronger organ. He is very interested in the fur tribe. The people have arrived at the trading location in the Red Earth continent and are waiting for our goods. Very good. This order is 10 times the profit of ordinary business. Let's do it right away. It will be bad if that guy goes crazy and hurts himself again. Chapter 97 Ruthless. The fur tribe is a race that lives in the furry principality on the back of the giant elephant Zal. The specific image is that of an orc derived from a furry animal, and it is a race that is even rarer than the fishman. There are many minority races in the pirate world. In addition to the long-handed tribe and the long-legged tribe, which are similar to humans in appearance, there are also subhuman races such as the fur tribe and the fishman tribe. Although they are not human, their blood and some organs are indeed universal. Many people discriminate against this race in life and regard them as beasts, but at auctions, the price of this race is much higher than that of humans. The fur tribe has lived on the back of Zhao for generations. Since the giant elephant has been walking on the sea, Zhao does not have a fixed location. If you want to reach Zhao, the only way is to use the life card. If you are lucky, you may also encounter Zhao walking on the sea near that sea area. Usually, the fur tribe will not leave Zhao, but there are exceptions. There are fur tribes who do not want to stay in Zhao and take the initiative to go to sea, and there are also fur tribes who accidentally fall down and cannot find their way home. The price of the fur tribe is also relatively high on the black market. The organ trafficking assassination group is similar to the human traffickers in terms of process, except for the different results. They will also take over the slaves who cannot be sold and wrestle their organs. Because organs and blood can be used interchangeably, some people are also interested in the organs of this kind of subhumans. According to rumors on the black market, the bodies of this kind of subhumans are stronger. The king of the West Sea believed this news and wanted to use the organs of the fur tribe to treat his child who was suffering from congenital organ failure and make his body stronger. Kokadin brought the manager to the place where the fur tribe was imprisoned. Unlike other rooms, the interior decoration here is soft, and the white wolf fur tribe inside was tied up like a dumpling. Because since being caught here and knowing their business, this fur tribe has been trying to self-harm, but this is just an underage fur tribe, so naturally there is no ability to resist. In order to prevent her from doing anything in the future, the people of the organ trafficking assassination group want to get rid of her as soon as possible. Notify the surgical team that they can prepare to pick up the goods. The heart and kidney are the most important in this transaction. No accidents are allowed. Yes, manager. He turned around and wanted to arrange the surgical team, but the sudden vibration made him slip and fall directly to the ground. Some gravel fell from the ceiling. The manager next to him looked at his shoulder with an ugly face. It was already stained with dust. Earthquake? Before the fallen Kokadin could figure out what happened, someone stumbled in from outside. Manager. Big. Someone called. How is it possible? Although their business is notorious, it is the first time that someone has taken the initiative to call them. This is because their location is secret and few people can find the location of their headquarters. In addition, they have a certain strength, otherwise they can't do this kind of business. It takes a lot of effort to deal with them. The world government has already established connections. As long as they don't attract the navy to encircle and suppress them, they are basically safe. No pirate will do such a thankless thing. This manager is still very smart and will not touch opponents who cannot afford to offend. This is the first time they have been attacked in so many years. The continuous bombardment shows that the battle outside is not small. Outside, the ship of the beast pirates has docked, and the ship's guns are outputting firepower at the building in the middle of the island, and the combat troops on the ship have rushed out. Although Kaido can choose to do it himself, he wants strong warriors, not trash who can only survive under shelter. He will naturally take action against supermodel opponents, but his subordinates must also have the ability to fight on their own. However, the battlefield also presents a situation of crushing withered and rotten. The organ trafficking assassination group rarely engages in large-scale frontal battles. Facing powerful opponents, these people seem a little fragile. Danganghang. The two wings display steel wings, and the low-flying Jin is interspersed on the battlefield like a sharp blade. The enemy has no power to fight back against him flying at high speed. The rock blade and fireball dominate the battlefield, and the remaining members of the beasts are almost harvesting vegetables. The tough enemies were all solved, and the remaining ones also lost their courage, and could not form an effective resistance. However, whether they resisted or surrendered, their results were the same. The purpose of this action was revenge, and there was no intention to leave any survivors. When the manager came outside, he saw a burning battlefield. The accumulation of the organ trafficking assassination group on this island over the years was completely destroyed. This made the manager's heart bleed. What's going on? Where did these people come from? No, I don't know. They suddenly appeared here and directly bombarded us. The flags show that they are from the beasts pirates. Beasts? When did we offend the beasts? No one answered him. Who can figure out such a thing? There are too many people who have offended in their line of work. Taking out a dendenmushi from his arms, the manager began to call the outside world for help. The beasts pirates is a rising star in the new world recently. Both the captain and the cadres have shown strong combat effectiveness. This level of pirates is no longer something he and his men can handle. He needs support. Dendenmushi is quickly connected. The person on the other end of the line is the pirate he has been establishing contact with recently. Although he has some business dealings with people from the world government, in the new world, the names of those people are of little use. Pirates are not officials of the world government, so they don't have to worry about their careers. Only equally powerful pirates can make the other party a little afraid. Mr. Perispero, it's me. Do you still remember me? Pirates can also do business. Organ trafficking assassination groups are also part of the underground world, and the Big Mom pirates are the pirates with the most extensive connections with the underground world. He and Big Mom also have some business dealings, so he has Perispero's contact information. It's you. What's wrong? We were attacked by other pirates. The enemy is very strong. I mentioned to you before that I wanted to borrow Big Mom's flag. Take a look. Pirates' flags cannot be borrowed at will. If you use the other party's flag without permission and are discovered afterwards, it will be a more serious matter. He had this plan some time ago, but the two sides had some disagreements on the cost, so they had not yet reached a complete agreement. Perispero saw this as an opportunity to ask for an exorbitant price, so he asked who he was fighting against to see how much the price increase would be appropriate, but after hearing the answer, his face changed. What did you say just now? About borrowing the flag? No, before that. Do you remember me? No. Who are you, and how did you get this number? He hung up the dendenmushi in his hand. Chapter 98. The underground world is about to change. What's wrong, Brother Paris? The people next to him hung up the phone with a look of disdain, and there seemed to be some anger in his disdain. Nothing. Some insignificant little bugs offended the group of beasts, but the underground world may have to be reshuffled. Although the organ trafficking assassination group has a certain status in the underground world, these people are just illegal businessmen who are free from the rules. Because someone has a demand for their business, they can exist in this world. In terms of force, both the world government and the pirates can crush them. Once someone decides to completely eradicate them, their own strength is not enough. The new world is the territory of pirates. Even if the managers of various industries in the underground world are called kings, it is only in their own fields. The root of their survival is a business with various pirates and the world government. Once they lose their own value, naturally no one will care about their life or death. Although the organ trafficking assassination group has not yet reached this point, their recent situation is not very good. Other underground businesses also have pirates who work closely with them, so close that they can borrow the flag, and the pirates who originally lent them the flag lost in the fight not long ago, which led to them losing their protection. Logically, the victor usually takes over everything from the loser, including the business they originally controlled, but the winner this time is Whitebird, who is not interested in this part of the business. The Whitebird pirates also do business such as weapons smuggling, casinos, and war mercenaries, but Whitebird never touches business related to human trade. He values his family and does not like this kind of business. Therefore, the organ trafficking assassination group did not get the protection of its flag, which is why the manager wanted to connect with Big Mom, and also wanted to establish a new connection with the world government through the Millennium Dragon. According to his plan, as long as these two things are done, they will have a more stable backstage. Unfortunately, there is no news about the team looking for the Millennium Dragon, and Big Mom is hesitant because the price is too high, so when the beasts come, they can only rely on their own strength. Not all assassins are called Wang Hassan. Their frontal combat power is not that strong, at least when facing the current beasts pirates. Looking at the busy tone of Den Mushi, the manager's face became even uglier. Would the Big Mom pirates be afraid of the beasts? In fact, he guessed wrong. The big pirates all have their own dignity. If they have lent them the flag, then Big Mom may not ignore it. At least she will come out to mediate. They are all pirates. Charlotte Linlin is Kaido's senior. It is impossible to say that she is afraid. And this is a question of credibility. If a pirate abandons his forces at will, then the rest of his subordinates will no longer trust him. If the flag has been lent out, then a battle is likely to break out between the two sides. The face between pirates is a very serious issue. But now, they have no agreement at all. In this case, Perospero did not even think about it, and directly rejected them without asking Charlotte Linlin. As the eldest son, he still has this judgment. Now that the beasts pirates have caught Big Mom's tongue, food is far more important to her than the little offerings handed over by an underground force. As for the reshuffle of the underground world, the resources owned by the organ trafficking assassination group are not just the organ and assassination business, but also their supply channels, business scope and a series of industries. Once these people disappear, other people in the underground world will instantly fill in the missing link like sharks smelling blood. So the manager didn't even think about looking for help from other people in the underground world. It's good that those people didn't add insult to injury. Let's go. The cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. Although this is the headquarters, they have other bases. It's a pity to lose the accumulation of many years, but it's better than death. He has seen it with the telescope just now. Even if those men choose to surrender, the pirates opposite them have no intention of stopping. He doesn't know when his people offended the beasts, but if he doesn't run now, he will definitely be the next unlucky one. When they built this place, they had thought of all kinds of possibilities, so they prepared a secret passage to escape. There is a secret passage under the dungeon leading to the secret port on the island. As long as they get on the ship, they can escape to other bases and then seek a chance to make a comeback. Manager, we are now. Take someone to take those rare goods. I'll give you 5 minutes. Meet at operating room number 7 in 5 minutes. Kokudin knew that this manager must have a backup plan, so he called a few people to pack up, while the manager wanted to return to his office and take away those priceless collections. He now only hoped that the gate outside could hold out a little longer, but as soon as he turned to leave, the cast iron gate outside shook violently. Are these pirates coming so soon? The man behind the door swallowed his saliva, and his legs unconsciously retreated again. Since the beginning of the battle, they have been retreating. They couldn't gain any advantage in the wilderness until they retreated back to the building. Ordinary pirates would not carry siege weapons. Although the main guns of the pirate ship were powerful enough, they were fixed on the ship due to the strong recoil, and it was difficult to dismantle and transport them. They didn't know what the point of holding on was, but the other side didn't accept surrender at all, so they all retreated here. The heavy door gave them a sense of security. It was just a little bit, and this thread collapsed directly in the next moment. The door melted in their incredible eyes, and the figures of Jin and Shaina entered here one after another, and then the rocks made by Jin covered the road under their feet. The molten iron made it impossible for ordinary pirates to step on the ground. With the help of Jin, they crossed this hot flow of steel. Don't leave anyone behind. Get rid of them all. Shaina glanced at the people around her. They were all miscellaneous soldiers. There was no point in wasting time. Her target was the person in charge here, so she chased directly into the depths. The people around almost only saw a red shadow, and Shaina had disappeared. Characteristics: acceleration. Her speed will get faster and faster in battle, until it reaches the upper limit. Brother Jin, you should go with the leader too. Leave this place to us. Chapter 99: A clever misunderstanding. This action obviously has a lot to do with Shaina and Jin, and these younger brothers have also seen it. They don't know the identity of the Lunaria tribe. The Beast group just rumored that they are in a relationship similar to that of siblings, but it doesn't matter. There are many strong people with quirks. Shaina and Jin just don't like to show their faces. For ordinary residents in the Beast territory, the external war of the Beast is an investment opportunity. For them, it is something that determines their status in the group. Kaido made one thing very clear at the beginning. As long as they have the courage, they can challenge the position of the big boss. As long as they can defeat the opponent, they will be the new big boss. However, except for a few overconfident people who tried it at the beginning, no one else has this idea. If the challenge fails, they will be beaten badly. In addition, their promotion mechanism is completely determined by strength, and the fastest way to improve strength is the gift of Arceus. Whether it is ability or anything else, it can make their strength change qualitatively. So far, the good brothers who have drawn water splash leap have become the best scouts, and the qualification for the lottery is determined by the merits in each battle, and fighting is the only way to gain merits. If Shaina and Jin had solved all the enemies, they would find it difficult. I'll leave it to you, Jin said and left. The organ trafficking assassination group often captured various targets here. Even ordinary humans had various huge sizes, not to mention the magical giant hybrids and other creatures, so they built the passage below very wide. It was large enough to allow Jin and the beast form to fly freely, and this became the thing they regretted the most. The flame behind Jin was almost extinguished. This was also the performance of the speed of the Lunaria tribe reaching the extreme. Due to the battle outside, ordinary members were pulled outside to fight against the beast's pirates. Those who could stay in the safe area below were almost all the high-level members of this organization. So Jin directly launched an indiscriminate attack. Shaina's speed was faster than him. He couldn't catch up with Shaina, who was in full acceleration state. The structure below was a bit complicated, so Jin and Shaina simply acted separately. Observation haki can capture the breath of nearby living people, but these people are no different to Shaina. Not everyone's observation haki is like Fujitora, who can analyze the differences between all the people around. She could tell the auras of several familiar people, but there were strangers everywhere. Even if she could sense the auras nearby, she didn't know who these people were. However, as she moved at high speed, she caught the auras of a group of people moving. Most of the people here were confined to a certain space, and the speed and range of these people's movement were not right. Those people seemed to be right below her, but the stairs here were not regular, and she couldn't find the way down for a while. The range of her perception of sight and hearing was not particularly large, so she stepped directly down. There was no road in this world, but as more people walked, there was a road. If you can't find it, just make a way out. Below her was Kokoding, who was transferring important goods. After a few scattered gunshots, these people lost their resistance. Although they were the manager's confidence in their own strength was stronger than those miscellaneous soldiers outside, they were just upgraded from miscellaneous soldiers to elite soldiers, which made no difference to Shaina. Why? How did we offend you? Why do you want to kill us all? Until now, Kokadin didn't know why the beast's pirates came to attack here, and they wanted to kill us, and they didn't want any survivors. He didn't wait for an answer. Shaina didn't mean to explain to him. The second in command of this organization died here with a head full of questions. Then Shaina looked at the iron cages covered with black cloth behind him. Even if they had to take things with them to escape, they must be very valuable. Under the first piece of cloth were boxes filled with unknown liquids, and inside were organs from various parts of the body. Shaina just took a look and covered them up, and in the cages behind were living people. They were strong, not disabled, and both men and women had good looks. In fact, their business had nothing to do with appearance. After all, they only looked at practicality, as long as they were useful. But the organs of such people could be sold at a higher price. The powerful and wealthy classes everywhere were always willing to pay a higher price in such places. The last cage was where the wolf girl from the fur tribe was imprisoned alone. The shackles were made of special high temperature resistant rubber. They would not use anesthetics or sedatives, unless they had no choice. Some people believed that this would damage their internal organs. The fur tribe was a natural warrior race. Not to mention the elite warriors, even the old, weak, women and children had a greater fighting power than ordinary adult men. The high temperature resistant rubber was to counteract their ability to discharge electricity. The fur tribe could generate strong static electricity through the friction between their fur. Although it was static electricity, after training, its power was no different from that of lightning. This fur tribe member was not very old, but his ability to discharge electricity also brought them a lot of trouble. Although Shaina came for revenge, she would not kill innocent people indiscriminately. The iron cages that bound them could not stop Shaina, so she broke them casually. Find a place to hide yourself, don't run around, and come out when it's quiet outside. However, she also did not intend to waste time taking care of these people. After untying their chains, she did not intend to take care of the rest. Even if the people of the beasts came, the prison uniforms on these people had already revealed their identities. Then Shaina chased after him again, but not everyone would listen to her, such as the wolf girl of the fur tribe. After untying the restraints, she followed Shaina's scent and chased after him. The fur tribe is as secluded as the Wano country, but they are passive. Due to the characteristics of Zal, outsiders rarely have the opportunity to find Zal. Even if they succeed in finding Zal, the chance of landing is very slim. The fur tribe living on the back of Zal lacks understanding of the outside world, and the outside world does not understand them either. For example, the outside world has always believed that the fur tribe hates humans. In fact, the fur tribe is a very friendly race. In their view, humans belong to the fur tribe of monkeys who suffer from alopecia. This fur tribe is still young, and she left Zal only because of her yearning for the outside world. She does not know enough about the world, and Shaina's human animal form seems to have caused her to have misunderstanding. Chapter 100 Kalukyu. Fur tribe, as the name implies, is an animal with fur on its body. In the cognition of the wolf fur girl, people living overseas are also fur tribes, and ordinary humans are monkey fur tribes with sparse fur. The fur tribes, where Zal lives, are all mammals. The flame chicken has feathers on its body, not hair, but she doesn't know this. In her opinion, the other party may be a bird fur tribe that Zal doesn't have. Fur tribes will inherit the characteristics and abilities of their species. The rabbit fur tribe loves carrots. Although normal rabbits can't eat too many carrots, the rabbits here are obviously not ordinary, and the food quota cannot limit them. The cat fur tribe is attracted by cat teasers, and the dog fur tribe likes bones. These are the characteristics of the fur tribe. As a wolf fur tribe, she inherited the sense of smell of wolves. Although it was only a face-to-face time, she has already remembered Shaina's smell. The underground here is a huge prison area. The people of the organ trafficking assassination group even call it a breeding farm. The people inside are all livestock in their eyes. At a certain time, they would release the captured people from their cells and allow them to move freely. The girl from the wolf fur tribe was looking for an escape route during this time, but she failed. However, this also made her understand the underground environment better than Shaina. Her speed was not as fast as Shaina, but she knew some small paths. Following the change in the direction of her smell, she really caught up with her. When she chased out from the small path, she happened to see Shaina nailing a person to the wall with one kick, and the legs were burning with flames. That was the iconic skill of Flame Chicken Flame Kick. Shaina, who was used to kicking skills, coupled with the enhanced ability of Flame Chicken, doubled the power, and a big hole was left on the wall. At this time, she noticed something behind her, and instinctively turned around and kicked, and then saw the little wolf girl from before. However, it was not so easy to retract the leg that had been kicked out. Although she retracted the flames and most of the force, the remaining force was still too much for an ordinary adult to bear. However, the girl of the wolf fur tribe was quite agile. She grabbed Shaina's leg and spun around. She flipped twice in the air and landed steadily on the ground after releasing the force. So cool. Can all the fur tribes in the outer seas make fire? The reason why those humans can't discharge electricity must be because their hair is too sparse. After all, this is an ability that all the children of the fur tribe can master. And Shaina's fire was also considered by her to be the ability of the fur tribes in the outer seas. After all, no one has explained to her what a devil fruit is. Shaina is a fur tribe in the outer seas in her cognition. The outside world must be different from Zal. At the beginning, Inarashi and Cat VIP believed that there were at least 5 islands in the world. She had a fierce debate with them about this issue. She believed that there were at least 10 islands in the world. However, 2 years ago, those 2 guys actually went out to sea secretly without taking her with them. The reason was that she was too young. But he was only 2 years older than her, and he actually spoke to her in that tone, and said that there were no other fur tribes in the outer seas, only monkey fur with sparse body hair like humans. There was no news from them for the next 2 years. She thought that the 2 guys might have died in the open sea. However, she chose to go out to sea secretly not to find them, but to confirm her idea with her own eyes. However, she was caught here within a few months. Those annoying rubbers made her power unable to be fully exerted. The appearance of Shaina seemed to make her discover a new world. Shaina did not answer her question, but asked back. Didn't I tell you to hide by yourselves? What are you doing here? You must be here to defeat that bad manager, right? That's what the story says. You are so powerful. You can bend those iron fences directly. Are there many flying fur tribes in the open sea? She seemed to have a lot of questions to ask. She didn't have a good life during the time she was away. The characteristics of the fur tribe are the characteristics of wild beasts. So many people regarded her as a monster. Even if this is a new world, there are some islands isolated from the world. The people on the islands have never heard of what fruit ability users are. In their eyes, talking werewolves are monsters. The people of the organ trafficking assassination group are not afraid of her, but they treat her as a commodity. Shaina was the first person she met who had no discrimination or fear, and she was also the fur tribe in her heart. She dealt with those bad guys and rescued her. The fur tribe was a hospitable race. They did not discriminate against any race. If they showed extreme disgust, it was only directed at the individual. She had a lot of questions to ask them now, but Shaina was not interested in it. She didn't mind saving the people here, but this was not her main purpose. Listen, little girl, I don't have time to take care of you. What you have to do now is to hide yourself. The battle here will be over soon, and then you can go wherever you want. After saying that, Shaina didn't mean to continue to care about her. The route here was too complicated, and she had never found the person in charge here, let alone what she wanted. That bad manager is the boss here. I know where he is. I can smell him. It seems that your sense of smell is not very good. And I'm not a little girl. I will definitely become the next Duke of Zal. I want to be the first Duchess of Zal. The King of Zal is called the Duke. The Duke Yang Jisehen is the current ruler of Zal. As for the succession mechanism of the throne of Zal, it is also very special. There is no clear heir. As long as you can get the recognition of the residents of the furry principality and the current duke, and have enough strength to defeat all challengers, you can become the new duke here. Shaina was not interested in the Duke of Zal, but she heard this wolf fur say that she knew where the manager here was. How do you know where he is? I remember his smell, but he seems to have escaped. Lead the way. Shaina directly hugged her in her arms and asked her to show her the way. Kirukyu the wolf fur girl leaned forward and rubbed her face against Shaina's when she could touch her face. This is the way of greeting in the fur tribe, and it is also a way of expressing friendliness. Specifically, she said Kirukyu and touched her face with her face. She thought that Shaina's ability to hold her up was a way of expressing friendliness. Although she didn't say Kirukyu, it was normal for the fur tribe in the outer sea to have some differences. Then she sniffed the air and began to point out the direction for Shaina. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.